First night, the gas station sat alone on a two-lane road with tall trees on both sides. One flickering sign buzzed over the pumps. Inside, a tired man behind the counter watched late-night news with the volume low. Then the air outside made a sound like a hard rip. Not a car backfiring, not thunder. This sounded like something pulling a seam apart. The man looked up. The lights over the drinks blinked twice. The glass door rattled in its frame. For a second, the night outside the windows looked wrong, like the dark had an extra layer. A crack of pale light opened in the air beside Pump 3. Wind poured out of it. It smelled like smoke and rain and old stone. The trees bent hard, even though the rest of the night had been calm. A figure stumbled through. He was tall, in a gray coat that looked heavy and travel-worn. A wide hat shadowed his face. A staff hit the ground first, then his boots, steadying him. He paused like he was listening to the world breathe. His shoulders rose and fell once. He stood straight. His eyes swept the road, the trees, the pumps, the building. He looked tired, but not confused. He looked like someone who had been in danger for a very long time and had learned to stay calm anyway. Behind him, the tear in the air trembled. It did not close. It hung there, thin and bright, like a wound that refused to heal. The man in the station whispered, "What the hell?" The newcomer turned his head, as if he heard that whisper through the glass. Then another sound came, deeper and uglier. A wet laugh, a soft scrape of shoes on gravel. 3 men stepped out from the shadows near the dumpsters. Too clean for this road, too confident for this hour. They smiled like they knew a secret. "Hey, Grandpa," one of them called. "Nice costume." The newcomer's face did not change. His hand tightened on the staff. His other hand hovered near the hilt of a sword at his side, half hidden under the coat. "You should go," he said, voice low and clear. "Go now." The men laughed harder. One pulled a knife. "Or what?" the knife man said. "You'll curse us? You'll—" The newcomer's staff tapped the ground once. The air snapped, not like a bomb, like a door slamming shut. A wave of force hit the 3 men and threw them back across the gravel. One rolled into the side of a car. Another hit the trash bins and crashed through them. The knife clattered away. The lights above the pumps burst at the same time, raining sparks. The station sign popped and went dark. The man behind the counter screamed and ducked. Outside, the 3 men groaned and tried to rise. Their faces were wrong now. Not fully human. Their eyes were too black. Their smiles were too wide. Their skin looked tight, like it did not fit. Demons. The knife man spat blood and hissed, Okay, you're not normal." The newcomer's gaze sharpened. "That word is not useful," he said. One demon raised a hand, like he was about to fling something invisible. The newcomer lifted his staff and spoke a word that did not sound like English or Latin. It sounded old. The word hit the night like a heavy bell. The demon's arm froze mid-motion. The demon's face twisted in shock. The invisible attack died before it started. The newcomer stepped forward. His boots crunched broken glass. "Leave," he said again, quieter, "or you will burn." The demon laughed, but it was shaky now. "You don't get to threaten us in our world, old man." The newcomer's eyes flashed with anger that felt controlled, like a blade kept in its sheath. "This is not your world," he said. "You are guests, and you have forgotten how guests behave." The demon lunged. The newcomer moved faster than the man behind the counter could follow. Staff up. A sharp turn. The staff struck the demon's wrist. The knife fell again. The newcomer's other hand flashed out and shoved the demon back. Light burst from his palm. It was not a beam. It was a short, hard flare, like a camera flash turned into heat. The demon screamed. Smoke rose from his skin. The other 2 demons stopped laughing. Somewhere down the road, headlights appeared. An engine roared. A classic car, low and loud, charged closer. The newcomer sensed it and shifted his stance, placing himself between the station and the demons. The car braked hard. Tires squealed. A black Impala slid to a stop. 2 men got out fast. One was older looking, with a leather jacket and an expression that said he had seen too much and trusted almost nothing. He raised a gun without thinking. He aimed at the newcomer. The other was taller, hair longer, eyes scanning everything. He held a shotgun and looked past the newcomer to the demons. His face tightened with anger. "Sam!" the first one snapped. "Eyes on Pointy Hat." The newcomer looked at the gun like it was a rude question. The taller man, Sam, took in the demons, the tear in the air, and the scorched gravel. "Dean," he said, "those are demons." "Yeah," Dean said, gun steady. "So is this guy, maybe. Or worse." The demons backed away, suddenly unsure. They did not like the newcomer, but they liked the two hunters even less. One demon spat. "Winchesters. Of course." Dean's eyes flicked to them. "You boys picked a bad night." The demon tried something, an invisible shove aimed at Dean. It never landed. The newcomer lifted the staff, and the shove broke apart like wind hitting a wall. Dean blinked, surprised, but did not lower the gun. Sam moved. He fired the shotgun. Salt hit one demon across the chest. The demon stumbled, swearing. Dean fired twice. The bullets were not special bullets. They still hurt because Dean knew where to shoot. The demon flinched and fell back. The newcomer did not chase. He raised his staff toward the tear in the air behind him, as if listening to it. His mouth tightened. "It remains open," he said, more to himself than to anyone else. Dean heard him anyway. "Who the hell are you?" Dean demanded. The newcomer looked at Dean. His eyes were bright, but tired. "A traveler," he said. "I did not choose this road." Sam stepped half in front of Dean, just a little. Not enough to block him, enough to lower the temperature. "Okay," Sam said, voice calm. "We're not here to hurt you if you're not here to hurt people." Dean shot him a look. "Sam, I'm looking at the bodies," Sam said. "There aren't any." The demon near the bin snarled. "You're all dead anyway." It raised its hand again, aiming at Sam. The newcomer's head snapped to Sam. He moved like a curtain whipping in a storm. One step. Staff down. A hard crack on the ground. The demon's eyes went wide. Its mouth opened and a scream came out that sounded like two voices at once. Then the demon flew backward, slammed into the side of the station, and crumpled. The man behind the counter fainted. Dean's gun lowered an inch, on instinct. "Okay," Dean muttered. "That was something." Sam's eyes were on the newcomer. "Can you do that to all of them?" The newcomer's face stayed steady. "If I must," he said. "But there are costs to fire." The remaining demons glared, then made a choice. They backed into the dark. "This isn't over," one warned, voice shaking with anger. "Hell's gonna hear about you." The newcomer did not look impressed. "Let it," he said. The demons vanished into the trees. For a moment, the only sound was the wind and the faint crackle of broken lights. Then the tear in the air pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Dean swallowed and raised the gun again, because fear always made him do that. "Name," he said. The newcomer hesitated, then gave a careful answer. "Mithrandir," he said. "That is what some have called me." Dean frowned. "Yeah, no, that's not a name. That's a crossword puzzle." Sam shot him a look that said, "Not now." Dean kept his eyes on Mithrandir. "You're coming with us," Dean said. Mithrandir's brows lifted slightly. "You do not command me," he said, calm but firm. Dean's jaw clenched. "Buddy, in this world, if you show up with a magic stick and demons start yelling, you either come with us or you end up in a shallow grave." Mithrandir glanced toward the station. The lights were dead. The man inside was down. Civilians were at risk. He made a quiet decision. "Very well," he said. "For now." Sam let out a breath. Dean did not relax. Above them, the night air shifted, like someone unseen had arrived. A figure in a trench coat appeared near the pumps, silent, sudden, and wrong in the way only angels were wrong. He looked at Mithrandir with a flat stare. "Castiel?" Castiel's eyes narrowed, as if his sight was trying to read a book written in a different language. "You are not angel," Castiel said. His head tilted, small and sharp. "You are not demon." Castiel paused, and for the first time he sounded unsettled. "What are you?" Mithrandir met his gaze without flinching. "A servant," he said, "if the world is worth serving." And behind him, the tear in the air gave one more slow pulse, like it heard that answer, and did not like it. The car ride back was loud, even when no one spoke. Dean drove like he always drove, hands tight on the wheel, eyes switching between the road and the rearview mirror. He did not like unknown things in his back seat. He liked them even less when they could throw demons across gravel with a word. Sam sat in the passenger seat with his laptop balanced on his knees, even though there was barely any signal. That was Sam. If Fear walked in wearing a hat, Sam would try to research the hat. Mithrandir sat in the back, staff upright between his boots, coat pulled close around him. He watched the passing trees and the small towns they went through. He looked at billboards like they were strange runes. Castiel rode in silence beside him in the back, as still as a statue. His head turned just slightly now and then, as if he was listening to a frequency humans could not hear. Dean broke first. "So," he said, voice casual in the way he used when he was not casual at all. "Myth, ran, whatever. Where'd you come from? And don't say, a road." Mithrandir's gaze stayed on the window. "From a place where shadows have names," he said, "where wars last longer than a man's life." Dean snorted. "Cool. Fantasyland." Sam frowned. "Dean." "It's fine," Dean said. "I'm just trying to see if he's nuts." Mithrandir turned his head and looked at Dean through the mirror. "If I were mad," he said, "I would likely be happier." Sam couldn't help it. A small smile tugged at his mouth. Dean did not smile back. "CAs," Dean said. "You gonna tell us what he is?" Castiel's eyes stayed forward. "I do not know," he said. Dean's grip tightened. "You don't know." Castiel's jaw worked once. "His presence is old," he said, "but it is not heaven's." Sam leaned in, interested. Could he be, like, a pagan god? Mithrandir shook his head slowly. "No," he said. Dean's eyes narrowed. "Then what?" Mithrandir's voice stayed calm. "A wanderer," he said. "A guide. One who is sent when darkness grows." Dean muttered, "Great. A magical hall monitor." Mithrandir looked down at Dean's phone when it buzzed in Dean's pocket. His eyes followed the sound like it was alive. Dean noticed. "Don't get ideas," he warned. "That's mine." "What is that?" Mithrandir asked. Dean blinked. "A phone." Mithrandir studied it. "A seeing stone?" he guessed. Sam looked between them. "Okay," Sam said, trying not to laugh. "That's not far off." Dean groaned. "Oh my God." Castiel, dead serious, said, "It is not a seeing stone." Mithrandir nodded as if he accepted that. "Then it is a talking stone," he said. Dean glanced at Sam. "If he calls it a rock one more time, I'm pulling over." Sam kept his tone gentle. "We're taking you somewhere safe," Sam told Mithrandir. "A place we can figure out what happened at that station." Mithrandir's eyes softened slightly. "Safe is a strong word," he said, looking at the dark road ahead. "But I will accept. Sheltered." They drove for hours. When they finally reached the Men of Letters bunker, Dean did not open the main door right away. He stopped the Impala and turned in his seat. "Rules," Dean said. Mithrandir blinked. "Rules can be wise," he said. Dean pointed toward the trunk. "First rule, you don't do any magic unless we say so." Sam's head snapped around. "Dean!" Dean kept going. "Second rule, you don't touch anything in our house without asking." Mithrandir's mouth twitched. It wasn't a smile. It was close. "You have the heart of a guard dog," he said. Dean's eyes narrowed. "And you have the mouth of a guy who wants to get shot." Sam cut in fast. "We just need to be careful," Sam said. "No offense." Mithrandir nodded once. "None taken," he said. "Caution is not cruelty." Castiel stepped out of the car without opening the door, because angels were like that. He faced the bunker entrance and paused. "The wards are intact," he said. "For now." Dean muttered. "Love that for now." Inside the bunker, the lights were warm and steady. The air smelled like old paper and clean stone. It felt like a place built to hide secrets. Mithrandir stopped at the threshold and looked around. He didn't act impressed. He acted respectful. "This is a strong house," he said quietly, "and a lonely one." Dean led the way, gun still at his side. Sam followed, already typing notes. They brought Mithrandir into the library. Rows and rows of books rose up like walls. Tables sat under lamps. A map of the United States covered one side, with pins and scribbled notes. Mithrandir's eyes moved over it all. His fingers flexed once, like he wanted to touch the spines of the books. But he remembered Dean's rule. Sam watched him and felt something settle in his chest. This man, this being, did not feel like a monster. He felt like someone carrying a heavy job. Dean didn't care what Sam felt. Dean cared what kept Sam alive. Dean cleared his throat. Sit. Mithrandir sat. Dean pointed to a painted devil's trap circle on the floor. And you're sitting there. Mithrandir looked down at it. A binding mark, he said. Dean stiffened. You know what that is. I know the shape of caution, Mithrandir replied. Sam moved fast. Dean, we don't know if it even works on him. Exactly, Dean said. So we use what we have. Mithrandir did not fight it. He sat inside the circle as if he was choosing patience. Castiel stood near him and stared. His face was calm, but his eyes kept shifting, like his angel sight was getting stuck on something it could not label. Sam opened a book and started pulling up lore. Okay, Sam said, mostly to himself. We have demons, angels, pagan gods, witches, reapers. Dean snapped. And now we have Merlin's grandpa. Mithrandir raised one brow. I do not know this Merlin, he said. But if he is wise, his family should be proud. Sam almost laughed. Dean did not. The bunker door opened again, and heavy footsteps came down the hall. Bobby Singer walked in like he owned the place, even when he didn't. He had a flask in one pocket, a folded newspaper in the other, and a face that said he was already tired of everyone's nonsense. What the hell is this? Bobby demanded. Dean pointed. Found a wizard at a gas station. Bobby stared at Mithrandir. Of course you did. Sam stood. Bobby. The demons were there first. Bobby's eyes narrowed. He took one step closer to the circle and studied Mithrandir like he was looking at an engine that might explode. Mithrandir met his gaze. He did not look away. He did not posture. He simply waited. Bobby grunted. You talk? I can, Mithrandir said. Bobby jerked his chin. Then start. Who are you? What are you? And why did you pop into our world like a bad dream? Mithrandir took a slow breath. I was in battle, he said. A door opened where no door should be. I was taken by it. Dean leaned against the table. Battle with who? Mithrandir's eyes sharpened, a flicker of old anger. With Shadow, he said. With a foe that wears fire like skin. Sam's face changed. Fire, he repeated. Bobby's jaw tightened. We got demons, sure, but fire like skin ain't a common type. Castiel spoke. Quiet. I sensed something, he said. Near the rift. Something not from hell. Dean shot him a look. That's comforting. Mithrandir's gaze moved to Castiel. You are not human, he said. Castiel answered simply. I am an angel of the Lord. Dean waited for Mithrandir to react with fear or worship or a joke. Mithrandir only nodded once. Then you know, he said, that power is often used poorly. Castiel's eyes darkened. He did not argue. That silence meant more than words. Sam tried to keep the moment from turning sharp. Okay, Sam said. So you were fighting something that sounds bad. Why would that bring you here? Mithrandir looked at Sam as if Sam's question was honest. Perhaps, he said, because this world is also in danger. Dean scoffed. Buddy, welcome to the party. Bobby set his hands on the table and leaned in. You got a real name? Mithrandir hesitated. The hesitation wasn't fear. It was careful choice. In one tongue, he said, I am called Mithrandir. In another, Gandalf. Sam's eyes widened a little. The name tickled something in his memory. A story. A book. Dean blinked. Gandalf, he repeated flat. Like the wizard. Mithrandir's expression stayed neutral. Names travel, he said. Stories follow. Bobby's eyes narrowed. Son of a... Dean threw up a hand. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not hunting Dracula and teaming up with Santa's wizard cousin. Sam's voice went soft, but firm. Dean. The demons reacted like he was a problem. Dean turned to him. Demons react like I'm a problem, Sammy. Bobby rubbed his face. All right, he growled. Enough. We need facts. Sam nodded. He opened his laptop, even though it barely had signal. We can test what affects him, Sam said. Iron. Holy water. Salt. Mithrandir's gaze flicked to the holy water flask Dean had pulled out, ready. You fear I am your enemy, he said. Dean didn't deny it. I fear everything, he said. That's how we're still alive. Mithrandir's voice softened. Then you have paid dearly for your life, he said. Dean's face twitched, like the words hit a bruise. Sam cleared his throat and focused on the work, because feelings in the bunker always turned messy. Okay, Sam said. First, holy water. Dean stepped forward, unscrewed the cap, and flicked a few drops at Mithrandir's hand. The drops landed on skin. Nothing happened. No smoke, no scream, no burn. Dean's eyes narrowed more. Could still be a witch. Mithrandir looked at the water, then at Dean. It is clean, he said. And you use it as a weapon. Dean's jaw clenched. We use what works. Castiel spoke again. He is not demonic, he said. Dean snapped. You already said you don't know what he is. Castiel's expression did not change. Not knowing is not the same as nothing, he said. Bobby grunted. Try iron. Dean tested iron. Nothing. Salt. Nothing. Devil's trap circle. Mithrandir looked down, then stood slowly. He stepped toward the line. Dean's gun came up. Don't. Mithrandir paused. I will not break your caution, he said. He lifted one boot and placed it near the painted line. Then he stepped over it. The circle did not stop him. Dean's stomach dropped. He hated that feeling. He hated it more because he saw Sam's face tighten with worry. Mithrandir stepped back into the circle right away, on purpose. You see, he said, I do not wish to frighten you, but your marks are made for different prey. Dean's voice came out rough. So what stops you? Mithrandir looked him in the eye. My choice, he said. That answer did not comfort Dean at all. Sam tried a different angle. If you're Gandalf, Sam said slowly, then you're from a world with, like, other rules. Mithrandir nodded. Yes. Sam's thoughts raced. If the rules were different, then the bunker's safety might be smaller than Dean wanted. Bobby pointed at the torn coat, the staff, the sword hilt. You got friends, enemies, anybody else coming through that rip? Mithrandir's face tightened. An enemy, he said. Perhaps more than one. Dean's eyes sharpened. Define enemy. Mithrandir's voice dropped. A fire that hates all living things, he said. A shadow that feeds on fear. Castiel's head snapped slightly, as if he caught a sound in the distance. The anomaly is still present, he said. Sam looked up. You can sense it. Castiel nodded once. Like a wound, he said. Bobby swore under his breath. So it ain't done. Dean's mind was already moving. If there was a wound in reality, things would crawl through. Demons. Monsters. Worse. Dean looked at Mithrandir again. You know how to close it? Mithrandir's eyes went distant for a beat. Perhaps, he said. But I will need time, and knowledge of your world's laws. Dean's mouth tightened. Time is what we never get. Mithrandir looked around the library again, taking in the books like soldiers. Then we will have to be quick, he said. Sam stepped closer to Bobby and spoke low. He's not lying, Sam said. I can tell. Bobby glanced at Dean. Kid, your brother can tell when a dog wants a treat. That don't mean he can tell when a snake wants your hand. Dean's eyes stayed on Mithrandir. We keep him close, Dean said. We watch him. We figure out what the hell is going on. Castiel's gaze shifted to Dean. He is not lying, Castiel said. Dean stared. Now you're sure? Castiel's voice was quiet. I am sure he believes his purpose, he said. That is not the same as safety. Dean huffed a short laugh with no humor. Finally, something we agree on. They set up a bunk room like a holding cell, but cleaner. Dean insisted on iron bars and salt lines anyway. Bobby muttered that Dean was paranoid. Dean answered, Yeah, and you're welcome. Mithrandir took the room without complaint. He set his staff against the wall like it was a friend. He sat on the bed and looked at the ceiling. Sam lingered in the doorway. So, Sam said, you really don't understand phones? Mithrandir looked at him, puzzled. They speak with no mouth, he said. They listen with no ear. It is rude. Sam snorted a quiet laugh. Okay, he said. That's fair. Dean walked past, heard the end, and groaned. Don't encourage him. Mithrandir looked at Dean. You, he said, are called Dean. Dean froze. How? You said it, Mithrandir replied calm. You speak loudly when afraid. Dean opened his mouth, then closed it, because it was true. and he hated that. Sam stepped in fast. Gentle. You can call him Dean, Sam said. And I'm Sam. Mithrandir nodded once. Sam, he repeated, as if tasting the sound. And you are brothers. Dean's eyes narrowed. Yeah. Mithrandir's gaze softened. Then you have something worth guarding, he said. Dean tried to shrug it off. We guard each other, he muttered. It's what we do. Mithrandir studied him for a long second. Then we may understand each other, he said. That night, while Sam ran searches and Bobby checked hunter networks, Dean sat in the library with a notebook and a gun on the table. He watched the cameras that pointed at Mithrandir's door. Castiel stood near the map wall, silent. Dean finally broke the quiet. So, Dean said, Heaven okay with this? Castiel's face stayed blank, but his eyes looked heavier. Heaven does not like what it cannot name, he said. Dean exhaled. Cool. So, Heaven's nervous. Hell's curious. And we have a wizard in our guest room. Castiel looked at Dean. He is not merely a wizard, he said. Dean leaned back. Yeah, he said. That's the problem. In the corner, the bunker's lights flickered once. Sam looked up from his laptop. Did you see that? He asked. Bobby's head snapped up. Wards, he growled. Castiel's eyes sharpened. Not the wards, he said. Something else. A low hum filled the bunker, like a far-off engine. Then it was gone. Dean's gut tightened. That rip, Dean said, voice low. It's still open, isn't it? Castiel stared at nothing, listening. Yes, he said. And something is looking back. The next day did not bring peace. It brought signs. Reports came in through hunter channels. A strange heat wave in the middle of winter. A church burned from the inside with no clear cause. A whole stretch of highway found covered in ash like a campfire had exploded across it. Sam pinned the reports on the map. Each one sat like a warning. Dean watched, jaw tight. This is connected, Dean said. Bobby grunted. No kidding. Castiel stood with his head slightly bowed, eyes unfocused, like he was hearing distant thunder. Angels are talking, he said. Dean frowned. About what? Castiel's voice stayed calm. About an intrusion, he said. About a wound. About a presence they do not control. Dean snorted. Boo-hoo. Sam looked up sharply. Dean. Dean held up his hands. Sorry, he said. Just not in the mood to care about Heaven's feelings. Mithrandir entered the library quietly, like he belonged in places full of books. He had not slept much. Sam could see it in the way his eyes looked tired around the edges, but he still walked steady. He stopped at the map wall and studied it. Your world is wide, he said. Dean crossed his arms. And full of monsters, he said. Thanks for noticing. Mithrandir looked at him. So is mine, he said, simply. Sam pushed a book toward him. We found some lore on rifts, Sam said. Not a lot, mostly bad stories. Mithrandir's hand hovered over the pages, then rested on them. Bad stories often begin with one small tear, he said. Dean pointed at the new ash marks on the map. So what is it? Dean demanded. What's coming? Mithrandir's gaze moved over the pins, then beyond them, like he could see through the ceiling to the sky. He spoke softly, but the words landed heavy. I do not know its true name, he said, but I know its hunger. Castiel's eyes narrowed. Describe it, he said. Mithrandir's jaw tightened. Fire, he said. Shadow. Rage. A will that hates the living. It does not bargain. It does not repent. Dean's face hardened. Great, he muttered. So it's basically my least favorite kind of thing. Sam's stomach sank. If it's like what you fought back home. Mithrandir cut in, gentle but firm. Do not assume, he said. New worlds twist old threats. Bobby pointed at one pin. Where's the next hit? He asked. Sam tapped the map. Industrial district, he said. Outside the city. Abandoned plant. Dean grabbed his jacket. Then we go, he said. Sam stood. Now? Dean looked at him. Sammy, when the universe starts bleeding, you don't set an appointment. Castiel stepped forward. I will come, he said. Dean glanced back toward Mithrandir. You too, Dean said. And don't get cute. Mithrandir picked up his staff. I have no interest in being cute, he said. Dean rolled his eyes. Good. As they moved out, Sam reached into his pocket and held out a flip phone toward Mithrandir. Mithrandir stared at it like it was a tiny animal. Sam tried to keep his voice light. "It's for emergencies," Sam said. "You open it, talk, close it." Mithrandir took it carefully. "A talking stone," he said, as if confirming a theory. Dean groaned from the doorway. "Don't you dare," he warned. Mithrandir looked up. "Dare what?" he asked. Dean pointed at him. "Do not call it a stone." Mithrandir considered. "Then what should I call it?" Dean opened his mouth. Sam jumped in fast. "A phone," he said. Mithrandir nodded. "A phone," he repeated, like he was memorizing it. Dean muttered, "Thank you." They drove. The closer they got to the industrial district, the hotter the air felt. Dean rolled down the window and frowned. "It's winter," he said. "Why does it feel like July?" Sam stared at the thermometer on the dash. "It's climbing," he said. "That's not normal." Castiel, sitting in the back seat again because he did not do normal human comfort, spoke quietly. "The air is thin there," he said. "Not in oxygen. In reality." Dean's jaw clenched. "Awesome." Mithrandir sat still, staff across his knees. His eyes were fixed on the road ahead. Sam watched him and tried to read him the way he read people. There was sadness in him. There was anger too, but the anger felt aimed. It did not spill everywhere. That scared Sam in a different way. Spilling anger was predictable. Aimed anger meant strategy. They reached the abandoned plant just after sunset. It was a skeleton of steel beams and broken windows. Old machinery sat like dead animals under tarps. A chain-link fence leaned outward like it wanted to escape. The air smelled like burnt rubber. Dean stepped out first, gun ready, shoulders tense. "Okay," Dean said. "Everyone stay sharp." Sam checked the EMF meter. It spiked, then fell, then spiked again like a heartbeat. Mithrandir's eyes narrowed. "It is close," he said. "Where?" Dean asked. Mithrandir lifted his staff slightly and turned. His gaze locked onto a wide open space inside the plant, where the roof had collapsed and the sky showed through. "There," he said. They moved in. Inside, the heat hit them like a wall. Sam's throat went dry. He could hear the slow drip of water somewhere. He could also hear something else. A low, deep sound. Like breathing. Dean held up a hand. "Stop." Castiel's eyes glowed faintly as he scanned. His face tightened. "Something is crossing," he said. The air in the center of the open space shimmered. Dust lifted off the ground and hung in the air like it forgot gravity. Then the tear opened. It was bigger than the one at the gas station. Wider. Rougher. It did not look like a clean cut. It looked like the world was being forced apart. Heat rolled out in waves. A shadow moved inside the light. Then it stepped through. It was tall. Taller than a man by far. Its shape was made of smoke and fire, but it had weight. Its feet hit the ground with a heavy thud that made the metal floor vibrate. Its eyes burned like coals. Horn-like shapes rose from its head. Chains of fire dragged behind it like tails. It turned its head slowly and looked around. Then it looked straight at Mithrandir. Sam's heart thudded hard. Dean whispered, "What is that?" Mithrandir's voice came out low, controlled. "The thing I feared would follow," he said. The creature opened its mouth. The sound that came out was not a word Sam understood. It was a roar that carried hate and hunger at the same time. Windows shattered in a ripple. Dean flinched, but he did not run. He raised his gun and fired. The bullets hit the creature's chest and vanished into smoke and flame like they were tossed into a bonfire. Dean swore. "Okay, that's useless." Sam fired rock salt. It burst through the creature's smoke and did nothing but scatter sparks. Castiel stepped forward and raised a hand. A bright force hit the creature like a hammer. The creature slid back, half a step. It did not fall. It smiled. Sam felt cold, even in the heat. The creature moved. It crossed the space too fast for something that big. It swung an arm like a burning log. Castiel took the hit and flew into a steel beam. The beam bent with a loud groan. Castiel dropped, dazed for a second. Dean's eyes went wide. "CAs!" Sam ran to cover, pulling Dean with him. A second swing tore through a stack of old crates and sent splinters and metal shards everywhere. A security guard appeared near a side door, frozen in fear. He had probably come to check the noise. "Hey!" Dean shouted. "Get out!" The guard didn't move. He stared like his brain had stopped working. The creature's head turned toward him. Mithrandir stepped forward, staff planted hard. "No!" he said, voice rising. The creature lunged toward the guard. Mithrandir lifted his staff and spoke a word that hit the room like thunder. Light burst out, not soft, not gentle. Hard white light, edged with gold, filled the open space and slammed into the creature mid-leap. The creature crashed to the ground, sliding across the floor and leaving a trail of scorched metal. The guard blinked like he woke up. Dean grabbed him by the collar and shoved him toward the exit. "Move!" Dean barked. "Run!" The guard ran. Sam's mind raced. Civilians were always the worst part. You couldn't just win. You had to win without letting people die. Mithrandir didn't chase the creature while it was down. He looked at Dean and Sam. "More may be near," he said. "Get anyone living out of this place." Dean snapped. "Sam!" Sam already moved. He sprinted toward another hallway where he heard faint voices. Maybe workers. Maybe squatters. Castiel pushed himself up, grace flickering under his skin. His jaw tightened. "That is not a demon," he said, voice strained. "No," Mithrandir said. The creature rose again. Fire rolled off it like a storm. It lifted a hand, and a whip of flame lashed out, cracking through the air toward Mithrandir. Mithrandir spun his staff, and the flame hit an invisible wall and splashed apart, like water thrown onto glass. The creature roared again and charged. Mithrandir did not run. He drew his sword in one smooth motion. The blade caught the light and flashed bright, like it remembered battles. Dean saw it from the corner of his eye and felt his stomach flip. That sword looked important, not just sharp, like it carried history. Mithrandir held the sword low and the staff high, like he was balancing two kinds of force. The creature slammed into him. The impact shook the whole space. Metal screamed as beams shifted. Mithrandir slid back, boots dragging lines on the floor, but he did not fall. Dean stared. "Holy!" Castiel stepped in again, throwing force into the creature's side to unbalance it. Mithrandir used the opening. He struck once, clean and fast. The sword cut through smoke and fire and met something solid inside. The creature shrieked, and the sound was rage, not pain. It swung back, trying to crush him. Mithrandir lifted his staff and blocked. The staff did not break. It held. The air around it shimmered, like the staff was carrying a rule of its own. Dean watched, heart pounding, mind already trying to plan around something he could not shoot. He saw the pattern. Mithrandir was not flailing. He was choosing moments. This was a fight between giants. Sam returned, breathless, from a side hall. "2 workers," Sam said. "Got them out. There might be more." A second roar cut him off. The creature slammed a fist into the ground. A ring of fire burst outward, racing across the floor. Dean grabbed Sam and pulled him behind a steel pillar. The fire ring hit the pillar, climbed it, and licked across the ceiling. Sam coughed. "Okay, this is bad," Dean shouted. "No kidding." Castiel raised both hands now. His wings did not show, but the force of his grace did. A bright barrier formed between the fire and the exit route. "Go," Castiel ordered, voice hard. "Get humans away." Dean hated leaving. He hated it more because it made sense. He shoved Sam toward the door. "Go, get the car ready. Call Bobby." Sam hesitated. His eyes went to Mithrandir. He saw the old wizard standing firm, sword and staff moving like a practiced dance. Sam's throat tightened. "Dean, go!" Dean snapped. Sam ran. Dean stayed, because Dean always stayed. The creature's attention locked on Mithrandir again. It seemed almost personal. Mithrandir's face was calm, but his eyes were fierce now. "I know you," he said, voice low, as if speaking to a nightmare with a name. The creature answered in that harsh tongue again. Castiel's barrier wavered. He grimaced, teeth clenched. "It is pushing," he said. Mithrandir made a choice. He stepped toward the creature instead of away. Dean's eyes widened. "Hey, wizard, maybe don't—" Mithrandir did not look back. "Stay behind me," he said, like it was a simple fact. He lifted his staff high. The lights in the broken ceiling flickered, even though there were no lights there. The air vibrated. Mithrandir's voice rose, and this time the words were in English, sharp and clear. "You will not take them," he said. "Not while I stand." The creature charged again. Mithrandir slammed the staff down. A line of light cut across the floor, bright and solid for a heartbeat, like a barrier made visible. The creature hit it like a truck hitting a wall. The barrier held. The creature roared and struck at it again and again, each hit sending shockwaves through the air. Mithrandir's jaw clenched. Dean could see strain now. Not weakness. Strain. Like holding up a door while a storm tried to blow it in. Castiel seized the moment. He stepped close and drove a blast of grace straight into the creature's chest. The creature stumbled. Mithrandir moved fast. He stepped in and drove his sword forward, not stabbing wildly, but placing it where it mattered, like he could sense the creature's center. The blade sank into the fire shadow. For a moment, the creature froze. Then the air screamed. The tear in the center of the room pulsed like a heart in pain. The creature grabbed at the sword, trying to pull it away, trying to drag Mithrandir with it. Mithrandir's boots slid. Sparks flew. Dean ran forward on instinct, even though it was stupid. He grabbed Mithrandir's coat at the shoulder and pulled, bracing his own weight like it would matter. "Dean!" Castiel barked. But he didn't stop him. He just strengthened the barrier around them. Mithrandir's eyes flicked to Dean for half a second. Surprise, then respect, then a hard calm. "Hold!" Mithrandir said. Dean gritted his teeth. "I am holding." Mithrandir's voice dropped again, not loud, but it carried. "Not me," he said. "Your courage." Then he spoke another old word. The sword flared with clean white light. The creature shrieked and jerked backward. The tear in the air pulled like a tide. Mithrandir yanked the sword free in a single motion and stepped back. The creature stumbled into the tear, not fully by force, not fully by choice. It looked like it was being dragged by something behind it. As it crossed the edge, it twisted its head and locked eyes with Mithrandir. It was not done. It was promising that. Then it vanished into the light. The tear shuddered. Everyone held their breath, waiting for it to close. It did not. It shrank a little. It flickered. Then it stabilized again. Still open. Still wrong. Heat faded slowly, like a fire going out but leaving the smoke behind. Castiel lowered his hands, breathing harder than he wanted anyone to notice. Dean stepped back, chest rising and falling, sweat on his forehead. He stared at the tear. He stared at the scorch marks. He stared at Mithrandir. Mithrandir stood very still. His staff was still in his hand, but near the top, a thin crack had formed, like a hairline split in old wood. Dean saw it and felt a chill. That thing, did that? Mithrandir's eyes stayed on the tear. "This world," he said quietly, "resists what it does not understand." Sam burst back in through the door, phone in hand. "Bobby's on the line," Sam said, breathless. "Also, Rowena called me. She heard about a fire event." Dean swore. Of course she did. Sam looked between them. "Did we win?" Mithrandir's answer was simple, and it did not pretend. "We survived," he said. "For now." A slow clap echoed from the far side of the plant. They all turned. A woman stood near a broken stairwell, coat neat, hair perfect, eyes bright with interest. She looked like she had stepped into a fashion ad by mistake. Rowena McLeod smiled as if she had just seen a magic trick she wanted to learn. "Oh, boys," she purred. "You really do find the most exciting problems." Her eyes slid to Mithrandir, then to the tear in the air, then back to Mithrandir again, and her smile widened. "Well," she said, voice soft and hungry with curiosity. "What are you then?" Mithrandir met her gaze, calm despite the smoke and heat. "A traveler," he said again. Rowena's eyes glittered. "Aye," she replied, "but you're not just that." Behind them, the tear gave one more slow pulse, like something on the other side had heard her interest and answered with its own. Dean took a step closer to Sam, voice low. "We are so screwed," he muttered. Sam didn't answer. He just stared at the crack in Mithrandir's staff and the open wound in the air, and felt the truth settle in. This wasn't a normal hunt anymore. This was a turning point for the whole world. The ride back to the bunker was quiet in the wrong way. Dean drove with both hands tight on the wheel. The Impala's engine sounded normal, but nothing else did. Smoke still clung to their jackets. Dean could smell burned metal every time he breathed in. Sam sat stiff in the passenger seat, phone pressed to his ear, listening to Bobby's voice crackle through bad service. Castiel rode in the back, staring out into the dark like he was watching a threat that humans could not see. Mithrandir, Gandalf, sat beside him, staff across his knees, hat low, eyes alert. Dean kept checking the rearview mirror, not because he didn't trust Gandalf to sit still, because he didn't trust the world to stay quiet. Bobby's voice came through the phone again. "You boys get out of there? You alive?" "Yeah," Sam said. He sounded tired. "We got people out. CA's got hit, but he's up. A beat." Bobby swore softly. "And the thing?" Sam glanced at Gandalf, then at Dean. "It went back through the tear," Sam said, but the tear didn't close. Bobby's tone changed right away. Less grumpy, more sharp. "That's the part I don't like," he said. "Open door means more company." Dean finally spoke, eyes still on the road. "We also got company in a red coat," he said. Sam rubbed his forehead. "Rowena," he said. Bobby groaned. "Of course it's Rowena." Dean's jaw tightened. "She was there like she was invited," Dean said. "And she was smiling." Gandalf's voice was calm from the back seat. "She is a witch," he said, stating it like a fact he had already filed away. Sam lowered the phone a little. "How do you know?" Gandalf's eyes stayed on the window. "She looks at danger like it is a lesson," he said. "That is not a hunter's gaze. It is a witch's." Dean shot him a look through the mirror. "You met her for 10 seconds, and you got her whole personality?" Gandalf turned slightly, not offended. "I've met many like her," he said. "Proud, clever, hungry for answers." Castiel's voice was low, tense. "Answers can become weapons," he said. Dean exhaled. "Welcome to my daily life," he muttered. Sam brought the phone back up. "Bobby, we're heading to the bunker," he said. "Can you check if any hunters are hearing about this? Any weird heat reports?" "You want me to do my job?" Bobby snapped. Sam's mouth twitched. "Yes, sir." "Fine," Bobby said. "And Sam, keep your brother from doing something stupid." Dean snapped. "Hey!" Bobby ignored him. "Also, tell that wizard fella." Dean cut in fast. "Not wizard." Bobby paused, then sighed. "Fine. Tell your old magic buddy to stay put. If hell's sniffing around, they're gonna come with teeth." Sam glanced back. "We'll be ready," he said, and hung up. The Impala's headlights cut across the road. Trees flashed past. A deer stood still at the edge of the ditch, watching them like it knew something. Dean hated that feeling. He drove faster. Back at the bunker, the air felt normal for a second. Warm lights, clean stone, the quiet hum of power. Then the door closed behind them, and Dean remembered. Normal was a lie they used to get through the day. Sam set up in the library right away. Maps, books, laptop, a whiteboard with dates and locations. Bobby's contacts on speed dial. Dean checked every lock and every ward like he could force reality to behave through stubbornness. Castiel sat at the table, shoulders stiff, one hand pressed to his ribs like it still hurt. He didn't complain. He never did. That was part of the problem. Gandalf stood near the map wall and studied the pins Sam had already moved around. He looked at the pattern like it was a language. Sam cleared his throat. "Okay," Sam said. "We need to figure out what that thing was." Gandalf's eyes stayed on the map. "It is not a demon," he said. Dean snorted. "Yeah, we noticed. It is older than most demons," Gandalf continued. "And it has a will that does not bargain." Sam's voice went careful. "Like a creature from your world?" Gandalf's face tightened. "Perhaps," he said, "but it is not the same. This world has its own shadows." Dean leaned against a shelf. "So, what do we call it? Fire demon? Shadow monster? Big flaming jerk?" Gandalf looked at Dean. "Names matter," he said. Dean lifted his hands. "Okay, Mr. Names, what do you call it?" Gandalf hesitated, not because he didn't know words, because he didn't want to give them power too early. "In my world," he said, "there are beings of fire and terror that serve darkness. This feels like that kind of hunger. Sam's eyes widened. So it followed you? Gandalf nodded once. Yes. Dean's face hardened. So it's your fault. Sam snapped. Dean. Dean didn't look sorry. I'm not wrong, he said. He shows up. Rifts open. Hell creatures start throwing tantrums. Gandalf's gaze turned to Dean, steady and not angry. You are afraid, he said. Dean's mouth opened, then shut. He hated being read like a book. Gandalf continued, voice calm. Fear is not shame, he said, but it can make you cruel. Dean's eyes narrowed. Don't psychoanalyze me, Gand. He stopped himself. The name stuck in his throat like he didn't want to say it out loud again. Sam caught it. Sam always caught things. Wait, Sam said slowly, eyes on Gandalf. Gandalf! Gandalf looked at him. Yes. Sam's mind clicked. He didn't want to say it because it sounded insane, but it was sitting right there. Dean, Sam said. Gandalf is from Lord of the Rings. Dean's head snapped toward him. No. Sam nodded. Careful. Yeah. The books. The movies. Dean stared at Gandalf like Gandalf had just told him the moon was fake. Dean's voice went flat. Are you telling me J.R.R. Tolkien was… what? Taking notes? Gandalf's mouth twitched again, almost amused. Stories travel, he said. Sometimes they arrive as tales. Sometimes they arrive as warnings. Sam leaned forward, fascinated. So those books exist here, because pieces of your world leaked into ours? Gandalf's eyes softened. Or because minds are open to more than one world, he said. Dean shook his head like it made his neck hurt. Nope, he said. I refuse. I have fought vampires, angels, and clowns. I draw the line at being a side character in a fantasy novel. Castiel spoke quietly. You are not a side character, he said to Dean. Dean pointed at him. Not helping. Sam pulled up a search anyway, fingers moving fast. Okay, Sam said. We can argue about Tolkien later. Right now, we need to know what those rifts are and how to close them. Gandalf looked at Sam. Closing the door is not enough, he said. We must also stop what is pushing it open. Dean's eyes narrowed. And what's pushing it? Gandalf's gaze moved to the ceiling, like he could sense the wound in the sky. Pain, he said simply. Fear. Rage. These things feed it. Dean scoffed. So, the whole planet. Gandalf didn't deny it. This world is loud with suffering, he said. That makes doors easier to tear. Sam swallowed. He thought of every hunt, every scream, every case file. Dean crossed his arms. So what now? You gonna wave your staff and fix it? Gandalf's eyes sharpened, but his voice stayed controlled. I could burn the wound, he said. But fire can spread. I will not solve this by making it worse. Dean stared at him. That's actually responsible. Gandalf gave him a small, knowing look. I have made mistakes, he said. I try not to repeat them. Sam's laptop pinged with a new message. A Hunter network alert. Heat spike in a church basement. Ash pattern found on highway. 3 people missing near a storage yard. Sam read it aloud. The room felt tighter with every word. Castiel closed his eyes briefly. Heaven is restless, he said. Dean's shoulders stiffened. Why? Castiel opened his eyes. Because this is not under their control, he said. They do not like that, Dean muttered. Join the club. Sam looked at Castiel. Can heaven help close it? Castiel hesitated. That alone was an answer. Some angels will want to help, Castiel said slowly. Others will want to contain, or take. Dean's eyes narrowed. Take what? Castiel looked at Gandalf. Him, he said. The word hung in the air. Gandalf didn't flinch, but Sam saw a hardening in his eyes, like he had heard that line before in other worlds. Dean leaned forward. Okay, Dean said, voice low. So heaven might come for him. Hell will definitely come for him. And Rowena is already sniffing around. Sam nodded. And Crowley, Sam added. If Rowena knows, Crowley knows. Dean's jaw clenched. Great. The King of Hell is going to want the magic grandpa. Gandalf glanced down at the flip phone Sam had given him earlier. It sat on the table now like an object from a prank shop. He picked it up carefully. If I press this, he asked. I can speak to one of your allies? Dean blinked. Yeah, Dean said. That's the point. Gandalf stared at it, then at Dean. Your world makes powerful tools common, he said, and yet you are still lonely. Dean's throat tightened. He hated that it felt true. Sam jumped in fast, trying to keep things moving. We need a plan, he said. We need… The bunker lights flickered once. Not like a normal power hiccup. Like the building blinked. Castiel stood sharply. His head turned, listening. Dean's gun was in his hand before Sam even breathed. Gandalf rose slowly, staff in hand, eyes narrowed. A voice drifted through the air. Not from a speaker, not from a phone. It was soft, almost gentle, and it did not belong in the bunker. Such a lovely little cave. Dean spun. Who's there? Sam's heart hammered. He scanned corners like fear could be seen. Castiel's eyes darkened. No, he whispered. Gandalf's face went still, like he had just smelled smoke in a room that was supposed to be safe. The voice chuckled. Relax, it said. I'm not here. Not yet. Dean's jaw clenched. Crowley, Dean snarled. Another chuckle. Try again. Sam's stomach dropped. His mind went to one name he never wanted to say. Castiel's voice came out tight. Lucifer. The air felt colder. Even Gandalf seemed to feel it, because his grip on the staff tightened. The voice sighed like it was bored. There we go, it said. Hello, Castiel. Hello, boys. Dean's face twisted with fury. How are you talking to us? The voice sounded amused. Oh, Dean, it said. You always think there's a simple lock and a simple key. Gandalf stepped forward. You are bound, he said. Voice like iron wrapped in calm. And yet you reach through. The voice paused. Then it sounded interested. And you, it said. You're not from here. Gandalf did not answer. The voice laughed softly. I like you already, it said. You have that old smell, duty, rules, a leash you keep holding even when you could break it. Dean snarled. Get out of our heads. The voice sighed again. I'm not in your heads, it said. Not exactly. This wound you brought, wizard, it's a phone line, and I am very good at making calls. Gandalf's eyes narrowed. Then you are the shadow that uses pain as a tool, he said. The voice sounded pleased. Pain is honest, it said. Fear is honest. Love is honest too, when it breaks. Sam's hands curled into fists. What do you want? The voice went quiet for a beat, and then it softened. I want to see, it said. I want to know if you're going to be a problem. Dean snapped. We're always a problem. A low laugh. Then the voice spoke to Gandalf again, closer, like it was leaning in. You came here chasing a monster, it said, but you walked into my story. Gandalf's jaw clenched. I do not belong to you, he said. Oh, I'm not claiming you, the voice said. Not yet. I'm offering you something. Dean barked. Don't listen to him. Gandalf didn't look away. Speak, he said. Sam stared at him, alarmed. Gandalf! Gandalf lifted a hand, quieting Sam without words. The voice purred. Your world is full of kings and lords and thrones. This world is full of cages. I can open any cage. Castiel's eyes flashed. Do not, he warned. The voice ignored him. You want to close the wound, it said. You want to send yourself home. You want to stop the fire shadow. I can give you the tools. Gandalf's face stayed stone still. And the price? He asked. The voice laughed, gentle. The same price I always ask, it said. Freedom. A crack. A little loosened chain. Dean shouted, No! Gandalf's eyes burned bright for a second, not with rage, but with certainty. No, he said, clear and simple. The voice paused. Then it sounded amused again. Good, it said. That was the right answer. Dean blinked. What? The voice chuckled. Temptation is a test, it said. I wanted to see what you are. Gandalf's face hardened. You are evil, he said. You do not test. You hunt. Oh, I hunt, the voice agreed. Cheerful. But I'm patient. The air buzzed. The bunker lights flickered harder. Sam shouted, Xies! Castiel raised a hand, and the air steadied, like he was forcing the bunker back into place through sheer will. The voice began to fade. But now I know something, it said, softer. You will not break for power. Not easily. A pause. So I will not offer you power again. Dean swallowed. Then what? The voice smiled in sound. Next time, I'll offer you something you can't ignore. Gandalf's eyes narrowed. And what is that? The voice answered like it was obvious. Hope. Then the presence vanished. The bunker went quiet again, like someone had shut a door. Sam's breathing was loud in the silence. Dean's hands shook just a little, but he hid it by reloading his gun like busy fingers could erase fear. Castiel looked pale. He should not be able to do that, Castiel said. Gandalf's voice was low, and yet he did, he replied. Dean turned on Gandalf, anger flaring because anger was easier than fear. You heard him, Dean said. That wound is a phone line, and it's open because you're here. Gandalf's eyes did not soften. It opened when darkness pressed, he said. If I had not fallen through, it might have found another weakness. Dean snapped. That's not comforting. Sam stepped between them. Stop, Sam said. We can fight each other later. Right now we need to close that door. Bobby's voice came from the phone on the table because Sam's hand had hit speaker without noticing. What door? Bobby demanded. What the hell is going on? Dean looked at the phone like it was personally rude. Sam swallowed. Lucifer, Sam said. A long silence. Then Bobby said, very quietly, Son of a bitch. Gandalf stared at the map wall, eyes sharp, mind already moving. This is not just a monster hunt, he said. Dean's voice came out rough. Yeah, he said. Welcome to Supernatural. Rowena did not go home after the plant. Rowena went to a place with thick wards and thick walls, a rented flat filled with candles and grimoires and jars of strange things, a place where secrets could sit in the open. She took off her coat slowly, like she was removing a costume, and walked to a table covered with paper. On the table sat a small metal tin. Inside the tin was a pinch of ash she had scraped from the floor near the tear. Right when the boys weren't looking, she held the tin up to candlelight. The ash didn't behave like normal ash. It swirled slightly, like it still remembered heat, like it still wanted to move. Rowena's eyes glittered with joy, the way some people looked at diamonds or trophies. This, she whispered, is lovely. She dipped a finger into the ash and let it dust her skin. It didn't burn her. It tingled. Rowena smiled wider. Oh, she purred. You're not hellfire. You're not angel grace. You're something older. She crossed to a mirror, traced a symbol on it, and whispered a short spell. The mirror's surface rippled. Not like water, like a membrane. On the other side, a man's voice answered with tired annoyance. Rowena. Crowley. Rowena tilted her head. Hello, Fergus, she said sweetly. Crowley's image sharpened. His suit was perfect. His eyes were hard. Why are you calling me? He snapped. If this is about money. Rowena laughed. It's about magic, she said. Crowley's face changed at once. Interest won over irritation. What kind? Rowena held up the tin. A tear, she said. A wound in the world. Crowley stared at it through the mirror. How big? He asked. Rowena's smile turned sly. Big enough, she said. And the one causing it is bigger still. Crowley narrowed his eyes. The wizard, he said. Rowena's grin said yes without words. Crowley's voice dropped. You saw him. I did, Rowena said. And I felt him. Crowley's expression hardened. Careful, he warned. Power like that attracts the wrong eyes. Rowena's eyes flashed with pride. I am not a child, she said. Crowley smirked. No, he said. You're worse. You're ambitious. Rowena lifted the tin closer to the mirror. This ash, she said. It cuts. Crowley blinked. Cuts what? Rowena's voice lowered, thrilled by her own thought. Locks, she said. Rules. Doors. Crowley stared. Then his smile turned sharp. Now that, he said softly, is useful. Rowena leaned in. I want information, she said. Not orders. Crowley's eyes flicked with warning. If you're thinking of going near the cage. Rowena's smile didn't move, but her eyes did. Am I? She asked, fake innocent. Crowley's voice went cold. Rowena, he said. Do not poke that bear. Rowena's laugh was light. Fergus, she replied. In my life, I have only ever poked bears. Crowley's image leaned closer. If Lucifer gets even a crack, he said, he won't just kill you, he'll use you. Rowena's smile turned sharp. Men always say that to women, she said. And women still win. Crowley sighed like he hated that he was impressed. Fine, he said. Bring me a sample. I'll have my people study it. Quietly. Rowena's gaze hardened. No, she said. You don't get to take my prize. Crowley's eyes flashed. I'm the king of hell, he snapped. Rowena's smile turned cruel. And I'm your mother, she said. Behave. Crowley stared at her, jaw tight. Then he smiled, slow and dangerous. All right, he said. Keep your prize. But I want the wizard. Rowena's eyes glittered. So do I, she said. The mirror rippled, and the call ended. Rowena set the tin down and paced, mind racing. A door that should not be open. A wizard that should not exist. A devil who could whisper through wounds. Rowena pressed her palm to her chest, feeling her heartbeat. She wasn't afraid. She was excited. And that, for someone like Rowena, was the start of trouble for everyone else. Crowley watched his mirror go dark and swore in a language that would make a sailor blush. He sat in a chair that looked like it belonged in a rich office. The room around him was hell dressed up to look civilized. Polished wood, nice glass, fake calm. A demon aide stepped in. Sir, the demon said, cautious. Is everything all right? Crowley glared. No, he said. Everything is never all right. The demon shifted nervously. Do you want us to handle the witch? Crowley's smile turned thin. Rowena, he said. If you try to handle her, she'll bite your fingers off and make earrings out of them. The demon swallowed. Crowley stood and straightened his cuffs. His mind moved fast, but his face stayed smooth. That was Crowley's trick. He turned fear into plans. The wizard, Crowley murmured to himself. Gandalf. The name annoyed him. It sounded like a joke, like a cartoon. And yet Rowena had sounded serious. Crowley tapped a finger on his desk. Send scouts, he ordered. Not idiots. Quiet ones. Hunters that can blend. I want eyes on the Winchester's bunker. I want to know what this wizard eats, what he reads, and what makes him angry. The aide nodded quickly. Yes, sir. Crowley's voice dropped. And no one goes near him without my say, he added. If he's what Rowena thinks, he can turn a demon into smoke with a word. The aide hesitated. Sir, is it possible he is angelic? Crowley's smile turned sharp. If he was heaven's, he said, heaven wouldn't be confused. The aide flinched. Crowley leaned forward, eyes bright with a dangerous kind of excitement. No, he said softly, he's something else. And something else means leverage. He stood and walked to a wall map of his own, different from Sam's. This one was marked with Hell's routes, Hell's deals, Hell's weak points. Crowley touched one point with his finger, a spot that represented the cage. He pulled his hand back like it burned him, even though it didn't. Not yet, he told himself. Not without control. Crowley had no interest in freeing Lucifer. Crowley had interest in being the man who could threaten to... That was how you stayed alive in hell. He turned back to his aide. One more thing, he said. Yes, sir? Crowley smiled like a knife. If the Winchesters ask questions, he said, help them. Just a little. The aide blinked. Help them? Crowley's smile widened. Chaos, he said, makes people sloppy, and sloppy people make mistakes. He walked away, already planning 5 moves ahead, because if a new piece had landed on the board, Crowley would either own it, or he would burn trying. Castiel did not sleep. He stood in a quiet corner of the bunker, eyes closed, reaching upward with senses most humans could not imagine. He listened for the hum of angelic signals. He found them, fast. There was a lot of noise. Not sound, exactly. Pressure. Messages. Commands. Fear. Castiel's eyes opened slowly. He saw heaven in his mind like a bright structure made of rules. He saw angels moving like soldiers. He also felt something colder beneath it. Control. A voice came through, sharp and clean. Not God. Not a prayer. An order. Castiel. Castiel stiffened. Another voice, familiar to him, but not comforting. Report. It demanded. Castiel's jaw tightened. He did not want to answer. He knew what would happen if he did. But silence was also an answer. "There is a wound," Castiel said. "A tear in reality. It is not caused by hell alone. And the intruder?" The voice pressed. Castiel hesitated. In that hesitation, he felt the shape of what they wanted. They did not want peace. They wanted possession. "He is not demonic," Castiel said carefully. "And he is not heaven's." A pause. Then colder. "Then he is a threat." Castiel's eyes darkened. "He fought to protect humans," he said. The voice was impatient. "That proves nothing," it replied. "Many threats protect what they plan to use." Castiel clenched his hand into a fist. His loyalty pulled one way. His conscience pulled the other. "What are your orders?" Castiel asked, voice tight. A single sentence came down like a door slamming. "Contain the intruder. If containment fails, bring him to us." Castiel's chest tightened. "Bring him," he repeated. "Yes," the voice said. "His nature must be studied. The wound must be controlled." Castiel opened his mouth to argue. Then he felt it. A second presence, brushing the line. It wasn't heaven. It was something that made his grace recoil. A faint laugh. Far away. Lucifer's laugh. Castiel went still. The voice in heaven snapped. "Castiel? Respond." Castiel forced his focus back. "Yes," he said quietly. "I hear. Do not fail." The voice warned. The connection cut. Castiel stood in the bunker corner, breathing harder now. He hated how much he feared heaven's plans. He hated even more that Lucifer could still touch the edges of this situation. He looked toward the library, toward Gandalf, who sat reading a book Sam had pulled out, turning pages with careful hands. Castiel had seen many kinds of power. This was different. This was old, and heaven wanted to put it into a box. Castiel's jaw tightened. He didn't know how this ended, but he knew one thing. If heaven came for Gandalf, and Dean stood in the way, people would die. Castiel did not want that blood on his hands. He walked toward the library, steps quiet, mind heavy. Gandalf sat at the big table while Sam stacked books around him like a fort. Dean paced behind them, restless. Bobby's voice came and went from the phone, giving small updates. Gandalf did not mind the noise. He had worked in councils and war tents before. He understood humans who filled silence with movement. He opened a book that smelled like dust and ink and old fear. Sigils, circles, names written in strange scripts. Sam leaned in. "That one is about binding," Sam said. "And that one is about rift events. It's rare." Gandalf traced a symbol with his finger, careful not to smudge the ink. "Your world binds what it cannot defeat," he said. Sam nodded. "Yeah," he said. "Sometimes it's the only choice." Gandalf's thoughts drifted back to the plant, the fire shadow, the pull of the tear, the way the world seemed to push against his staff like reality itself was saying, "You do not belong." He looked at the crack in the wood. Not a weakness in him. A warning from the world. Dean stopped pacing and leaned on the table. "So," Dean said, "you got a plan?" Gandalf looked up. "Plans require knowledge," he said. Dean's face tightened. "We don't have time for knowledge," he snapped. "We have a hole in the world." Sam spoke fast, trying to keep Dean from lighting himself on fire with stress. "We can still plan," Sam said. "We just do it fast." Gandalf studied Dean's face. Dean looked like a man who lived in a burning house and still insisted on setting rules about where people could step. Gandalf understood him more than Dean would like. "There is a method," Gandalf said. "Not simple, but possible." Dean's eyes narrowed. "Talk." Gandalf tapped the page. "True names," he said. "In many worlds, a true name is a key." Sam's eyes widened. "Like demon names," Sam said. "Or angels." Castiel entered the room quietly and stopped near the map wall. He listened, eyes on Gandalf. Gandalf continued. "A door can be shut by force," he said. "Or it can be shut by command. A command requires authority. Authority comes from understanding what you command." Dean's mouth twisted. "Okay, cool," he said. "So, what's the true name of the door?" Gandalf's eyes narrowed. "Not the door," he corrected. "The thing pushing it." Sam swallowed. "The fire shadow." Gandalf nodded. "If it has a true name," he said, "it can be bound. If it can be bound, the door may weaken. Dean's voice went hard. And if it doesn't have a name? Gandalf's gaze sharpened. Then it is not a creature, he said. It is a force. And forces require different answers. Sam's stomach tightened. What kind of answers? Gandalf looked down at the book, then up again. Sacrifice, he said simply. Dean's face went cold. Not happening, he said. Gandalf held his gaze. Sometimes, he said, a sacrifice is not death. Sometimes it is letting go of what you want. Dean didn't look convinced. Sam rubbed his face. He was trying to keep 1,000 bad possibilities from taking over his brain. A beep came from Sam's laptop. Another hunter alert. Sam read it, voice tight. There's a missing persons case, he said. 3 people, storage yard. Dean's eyes sharpened. Near the industrial district? Sam nodded. Yeah. Dean grabbed his keys. Then we go, he said. Gandalf rose. Yes, he agreed. We go. Dean paused, suspicious. You just said knowledge, he said. Now you're ready to run? Gandalf's expression was calm. Knowledge and action are not enemies, he said. You gather what you can. Then you move. Dean stared at him for a second, then nodded once. Fine, he said. But you stay close. Gandalf glanced at the flip phone on the table and picked it up, turning it over like he was studying a small creature. Dean pointed at it. It's a phone, Dean said. Slow, like teaching a child. Gandalf nodded. A phone, he repeated. Dean's eyes narrowed. And? Gandalf's mouth twitched. Not a stone, he promised. Sam let out a surprised laugh, and even Dean looked like he almost smiled. Almost. Then Castiel spoke, quiet and heavy. Heaven will come, he said. Dean's head snapped toward him. What? Castiel's jaw tightened. They want him contained, he said, and studied. Dean's face went hard, like a lab rat. Castiel didn't deny it. Gandalf's eyes did not show fear. They showed understanding. Many powers prefer cages, he said. Dean stepped closer to Castiel, voice low and sharp. You gonna let them? He demanded. Castiel's eyes flicked with conflict. I do not want this, he said. Dean stared at him. That's not an answer. Castiel's voice dropped. Then ask me again when they are here, he said. The room went quiet for a beat. Sam swallowed. We can't fight heaven and hell, Sam said softly. Dean's voice came out rough. We fight everything, he said. We just usually lose. Gandalf's gaze settled on Dean. You keep fighting, he said. That matters. Dean looked away, because praise made him uncomfortable. They left the bunker with weapons, salt, iron, holy water, and a staff that looked like it could turn the air into a wall, and a crack in that staff that reminded them all. Even great powers could meet limits in this world. The storage yard smelled like oil and cold metal. Stacks of shipping containers rose like blocks in the dark. A security light buzzed and flickered, turning the yard into a place full of shifting shadows. Dean moved first. Gun up, shoulders tight. Sam followed, EMF in one hand, flashlight in the other. Castiel walked behind them, silent and tense. Gandalf's staff tapped the ground with soft, steady sounds, like a metronome that didn't care about fear. Sam's EMF spiked hard. Dean whispered, There. A dark shape crouched between containers. Dean crept closer, then froze. It wasn't the fire shadow. It was a man. No, someone wearing a man. The thing turned its head. Black eyes, teeth too sharp. A demon. Dean's face twisted. Of course. The demon smiled. Winchesters, it purred. You're popular tonight. Dean raised his gun. Where are the missing people? The demon's smile widened. Oh, it said. They're fine. For now. Sam's stomach dropped. Why? He demanded. The demon's gaze slid to Gandalf. Its smile faltered, just for a second. Then it recovered. Because we needed bait, it said. Dean's eyes widened. Bait for what? The air behind them pulsed. Hotter. Drier. Gandalf's head snapped up. The door, he said. Sam turned, heart pounding. Between two containers the air shimmered. A thin tear, smaller than the plant, but growing. Dean swore. It's opening anywhere now. Castiel's eyes narrowed. The wound is spreading. he said. The demon laughed. Hell's got plans, boys, it said. Dean shot it in the head with a devil's trap bullet. The demon fell, smoking and cursing, trapped in the meat suit. Sam ran to the tear, desperate, like he could stop it by standing close. Gandalf grabbed Sam by the shoulder, firm but gentle, pulling him back. Do not stand at the edge, Gandalf warned. If it pulls, it will not ask permission. Sam swallowed and nodded, face pale. The tear opened wider. Heat rolled out. Not full fire shadow, not yet, but something pushed from the other side, like fingers against thin cloth. Dean's voice went tight. We need to shut it, now. Gandalf stepped forward, staff raised. He spoke a word, and the light wrapped around the tear like a bandage. For a moment, the tear fought him. The air shook. Then the light held. Sam stared. Breath caught. It was like watching someone hold a door shut while a storm tried to force it open. Dean moved without thinking. He drew a salt line around the tear, like it mattered. Castiel placed his hand on the air, grace flaring, adding pressure. Gandalf's jaw clenched. The crack in his staff glowed faintly, strained. He did not stop. The tear shrank to a thin, angry line. Then, like a cruel joke, it snapped open again, harder. Something came through. Not the giant, a smaller piece. A creature of smoke and ember, shaped like a dog but wrong, eyes burning. It leaped for Dean. Dean fired. It didn't stop. Gandalf swung his staff and hit it midair, sending it into a container with a hard slam. The metal dented. Sam stared. That's a hound, Gandalf said, voice tight. A hunter's tool. The creature rose, smoke curling off it, and charged again. Castiel stepped in and smote it with a bright blast. The hound exploded into ash. Sam coughed as the ash drifted. Dean stared at the ash, then at the tear. So now it can send scouts, he muttered. Gandalf's eyes were sharp. Yes, he said. It is learning this world. Sam's voice shook. That's bad. Dean swallowed, trying to stay steady. Yeah, he said. That's really bad. They forced the tear shut with everything they had. Light, grace, salt. Words scribbled fast in chalk. When it finally collapsed into nothing, everyone stood still, breathing hard. Dean wiped sweat off his brow and stared at Gandalf. Okay, Dean said, voice rough. You just held a hole in the world shut. Gandalf lowered the staff slowly. His breathing was steady, but his eyes looked heavier. It is not closed, he said quietly. It is only pushed back. Sam's throat went dry. So this keeps happening, he said. Gandalf nodded once. Until we find the root, he said. Castiel stared into the space where the tear had been. Heaven will act, he said. Dean's face hardened. Then we act first, he snapped. And deep inside the bunker, in the space between fear and exhaustion, a new truth settled into all of them. This wasn't a single case. This was a war starting to wake up. Days passed. Not calm days. Days filled with smaller tears, strange heat, and demons testing the edges like wolves circling a fence. The Winchesters slept in shifts. Bobby called in with grim updates. Rowena kept calling Sam, leaving cheerful messages like this was a hobby. And somewhere in the darkness, Crowley's attention tightened like a noose. Gandalf stayed mostly in the bunker. Not because he was trapped, but because he chose it. He studied. He listened. He walked the halls at night like a guard making rounds. Dean watched him like a hawk. Sam tried to build a bridge. Castiel looked like a man caught between two armies. One afternoon, as Sam pinned a new report to the map, Gandalf spoke quietly. There is a place you have, Gandalf said, where old rules sleep. Sam turned. What do you mean? Gandalf gestured at the bunker itself. This house is a library, he said. But there are deeper libraries, vaults, rooms you do not use. Dean's eyes narrowed. We use everything we need, he said. Gandalf's gaze stayed calm. And perhaps you do not know what you need, he replied. Dean bristled. Watch it. Sam stepped in fast. He's not wrong, Sam said. There are sealed men of letters vaults. We haven't opened them all. Dean's jaw tightened. Because some of them are sealed for a reason. Gandalf nodded once. Seals are not evil, he said. They are warnings. But warnings can still hold tools. Sam's mind clicked. You think there's something in a Men of Letters vault that can help seal the tears? Gandalf's eyes sharpened. I think your ancestors feared doors, he said. They may have written how to close them. Dean stared at the map, then at the bunker's hallways, like he could see hidden rooms through stone. Castiel spoke quietly. If we find a method that does not rely on hell, he said, it will help. Dean frowned. What do you mean rely on hell? Castiel's eyes were tired. Many bindings in this world borrow power, he said. From angels, from demons, from sacrifices. Every borrowed power comes with influence. Gandalf nodded. Yes, he said. This world's magic tastes like bargains. Sam swallowed. We need something cleaner. Dean's face tightened. We need something that doesn't screw us later, he said. Gandalf's voice was steady. Then we go to the place where your world hides its oldest answers, he said. Sam nodded slowly. A vault, he said. A Men of Letters vault. Dean sighed like he hated that it made sense. Fine, he said. We go. Gandalf looked at him. You will come, he said, not asking. Dean glared. Yeah, he said, because if you break reality again, I want to be there to yell at you. Gandalf's mouth twitched. Very well, he said. You will yell. Sam almost laughed. Almost. Because the map had too many pins now. They left at dawn. Road trip rules returned. Dean drove, Sam navigated. Castiel appeared and disappeared when he felt like it, and Gandalf sat in the back and stared at the world like it was both strange and familiar. Dean tried to teach Gandalf slang, not because it mattered, because it made Dean feel like he had control over something. Okay, Dean said, eyes on the road. If I say, dude, it can mean a lot of things. It can mean friend. It can mean, what the hell? It can mean stop talking. Gandalf nodded seriously. So it is a spell, he said. Dean groaned. No, it's not a spell. Sam laughed softly. It kind of is, Sam said. Dean shot him a look. Don't you start. Gandalf looked out the window at a billboard showing a smiling family selling insurance. This world has many signs, he said, and many promises. Dean shrugged. Yeah, he said. Most of them are lies. Gandalf turned his head slightly. Then, why do people follow them? He asked. Dean's mouth tightened. Because they want to believe something, he said. Gandalf went quiet after that. They reached an old Men of Letters site by noon. It wasn't marked on any normal map. It sat behind a dead farmhouse and a rusted silo. The land looked empty, but Sam's note said there was a hidden entrance beneath the barn. Dean checked the barn with his gun drawn, because Dean trusted nothing, not even hay. Sam found the latch under the floorboards. He pried it open, and stairs descended into cold dark. Castiel reappeared at the barn door, eyes scanning the air. Angels are searching, he said. Dean's jaw clenched. Of course they are. Gandalf stepped toward the stairs. Then we must be quick, he said. They went down. The underground vault smelled like stone and old paper, like the bunker, but sharper, less lived in, more sealed. Lights flickered on as Sam flipped a switch. Rows of shelves appeared, packed with boxes, books, and artifacts wrapped in cloth. Dean's shoulders tensed. I hate these places, he muttered. Sam nodded. Me too, he said. But we need it. Gandalf's eyes moved over the shelves. He looked familiar here, like a scholar in a war room. He walked to a shelf and traced the air near it. Wards, he said. Strong ones. Dean pointed his flashlight. Can you break them? Gandalf looked at him. Yes, he said. Dean stared. That's not comforting. Gandalf's voice stayed calm. I will not, he added. Dean exhaled. Better. Sam moved along the shelves, reading labels. We're looking for anything about rifts, Sam said. Dimensional tiers. Gates. Seals. Gandalf's gaze sharpened at the word gate. He walked to a box marked with a symbol that looked like a circle split by a line. He opened it carefully. Inside sat a thin, black book, bound in cracked leather. No title, no author, just a small symbol burned into the cover. Gandalf's eyes narrowed. This is dangerous, he said softly. Dean leaned in. How do you know? Gandalf didn't look away from the book. Because it does not want to be read, he said. Sam swallowed. That's very men of letters, he said. Dean muttered. Great. They brought the book to the center table. Sam opened it with gloves. The pages were filled with old writing and diagrams. Circles within circles. Words in Latin. Words in something older. Sam scanned it, eyes moving fast. This is about locks, Sam said. Big locks. Gandalf leaned closer. His eyes moved over the page, and something in his face shifted. Recognition. Not of the words. Of the idea. This speaks of a prison, Gandalf said. Dean's eyes narrowed. A prison for what? Castiel's face went tense. For Lucifer, he said. The room went colder again, even though nothing changed. Sam swallowed. How does this help us close rifts? Gandalf pointed to a diagram. This, he said, is a method of sealing a tear by tying it to a binding that already exists. Dean stared. You mean, use the cage like an anchor? Sam's stomach dropped. That sounds risky. Castiel's voice was tight. Very risky, he agreed. Gandalf's eyes stayed calm, but hard. Yes, he said, and it explains why the devil's voice reached you. The wound is near his cage, or it is becoming near. Dean's jaw clenched. So our reality wound is connected to Lucifer. Sam's hands shook slightly. That's bad. Dean let out a short laugh with no humor. That's end of the world bad. Gandalf looked at them, voice steady. Then we must not let anyone use this, he said. Sam looked up, alarmed. Rowena, he said. Dean snapped. Crowley. Castiel added quietly. Heaven. They all understood at once. This book was not just information. It was a weapon. Gandalf closed the book firmly. We take it, he said. Dean frowned. You trust us with it? Gandalf's gaze settled on Dean. I trust your fear, he said. Fear can guard, if it is aimed well. Dean didn't like that, but he didn't argue. Sam tucked the book into a bag and zipped it like it could bite. Then the vault lights flickered. Castiel's head snapped up. They found us, he said. Dean's gut tightened. Angels? Castiel nodded once. And something else, he said. Gandalf lifted his staff. The crack in it caught the light. Dean whispered, Tell me the something else isn't. A sound came from the stairs. Footsteps. Too light for a human. Too confident for a hunter. Then a voice, cheerful as a greeting card. Oh, boys, Rowena called down. You really are terrible at hiding. Dean swore under his breath. How did she? Sam's face went pale. She must have tracked the rift energy, he said. Rowena appeared at the bottom of the stairs, smiling wide, hands open like she meant no harm. Behind her, two demons stood in the shadows, watching. Dean's gun came up. Stop right there. Rowena pouted. Dean, darling, she said. Don't be rude. I came to help. Dean snapped. You never come to help. Rowena's smile didn't fade. And yet, she purred, here I am. Her eyes slid to Gandalf. Hello again, she said softly. Traveler. Gandalf's voice was calm. You followed, he said. Rowena's grin turned proud. Of course I did, she said. You're the most exciting thing to happen in years. Castiel stepped forward. His eyes flashed. Leave, he ordered. Rowena blinked innocently. Oh, Angel, she said. Don't be so dramatic. Then the air above the vault table shimmered. A white flash. 3 angels appeared in the room like blades dropping from the sky. They wore serious faces. Their eyes were cold with purpose. Dean's heart slammed in his chest. Oh, come on, he hissed. The lead angel looked at Castiel first. Castiel, it said. Step aside. Castiel's jaw tightened. No, he said. The angel's gaze moved to Gandalf. The intruder will come with us, it said. Gandalf lifted his staff slightly. I will not, he replied. The angel's eyes narrowed. This is not a negotiation, it said. Dean stepped between them like it was instinct. He's not your prisoner, Dean snapped. The angel looked at Dean like Dean was dirt. Human, it said. You do not understand what is at stake. Dean barked. I understand cages. Rowena watched it all like it was theater. Sam's mind raced. 2 sides that both wanted control, and them stuck in the middle. Gandalf's voice cut through, steady and firm. "Enough," he said. It wasn't loud, but the room reacted like it was. The air stiffened. The candles Rowena brought flickered hard. The angel's shoulders tensed. Dean felt it in his teeth, like pressure. Gandalf's eyes were sharp now. "I will not be carried like a thing," he said. "I will not be studied like an insect." The lead angel took a step forward. "You will be contained," it repeated. Gandalf's face hardened. "Then you will try," he said. The angel moved. Fast. It reached for Gandalf, grace flaring. Gandalf lifted his staff, and a clear wall of force appeared between them. The angel hit it and bounced back half a step, shocked. Dean stared. "C8," he whispered. "Did you see that?" Castiel's voice was tense. "Yes," he said. Rowena clapped once, delighted. "Oh, I love this," she whispered. The demons behind Rowena lunged toward Sam, seeing the chaos as a chance. Sam fired, devil's trap bullet slamming into one demon and dropping it. The other demon grabbed for the bag with the book. Dean turned, gun flashing, and shot it in the shoulder. The demon staggered but didn't fall. Rowena's eyes flicked to the bag. She wanted it. Dean saw that and felt cold anger. "Not today," he growled. Castiel stepped toward the angels, wings unseen but implied in the force of his stance. "Leave," he said again, harder. The lead angel's face twisted. "You defy heaven," it said. Castiel's eyes burned. "I protect humans," he said. "That is my purpose." The angel snarled and the angels attacked. The vault became a battlefield. Castiel met the first angel head-on, grace slamming into grace like invisible storms colliding. Shelves rattled, dust fell from the ceiling. Dean grabbed Sam and shoved him behind a table. "Stay low," he snapped. Sam shouted, "The book!" Dean pointed. "I know." Gandalf stepped toward the lead angel again, staff raised, sword half drawn. The angel tried to smite him. Light flared. Gandalf's staff flared brighter. The smiting hit and splashed like water on a hard shield. The angel's eyes widened with something close to fear. Gandalf did not smile. "Power without wisdom is only noise," he said. He slammed the staff down. The floor cracked in a thin line, not from destruction, but from force. The angel flew backward and hit a shelf hard enough to snap wood. Sam stared, breath caught. He had watched Castiel move cars with a thought. This was different. This was controlled in a way that felt older. Rowena took her chance. She flicked her wrist and whispered a spell. The bag with the book slid across the table toward her like it was pulled by a string. Sam lunged for it, fingers brushing it, but Rowena's magic yanked harder. Dean fired at her. The bullet hit an invisible shield she'd thrown up, and it flattened and fell. Rowena smiled. "Oh, Dean," she said, "you're trying." Dean snarled and charged, because sometimes Dean didn't have magic, but he had anger and speed. Rowena stepped back, graceful, still pulling the bag. Gandalf saw it. His eyes narrowed. He raised his free hand, palm open, and spoke one sharp word. Rowena's spell snapped like a thread cut with scissors. The bag dropped to the floor. Sam grabbed it and hugged it tight to his chest like it was a bomb. Rowena's eyes flashed with fury and awe at the same time. "Oh," she whispered. "That was rude." Gandalf's voice was calm. "It was necessary," he said. Rowena's smile returned. Thinner. "You're going to be so much fun," she said. Then she did something smart. She didn't fight. She threw a small vial to the floor. It shattered. Smoke exploded outward, thick and purple. Dean coughed. Sam's eyes watered. When the smoke cleared, Rowena was gone. The demons were gone. But she had left a gift behind. A thin line of ash on the floor, placed just right, like a signature. Gandalf stared at it, jaw tight. "She took a sample," he said. Dean coughed, furious. "Of course she did." Castiel slammed the last angel into a wall with a burst of grace. The angels regrouped, wary now. They had not expected resistance this strong. The lead angel stared at Gandalf, eyes cold. "This changes nothing," it said. "Heaven will return with more." Gandalf's gaze was steady. "Then I will still be here," he said. The angel's expression hardened. "We will see," it said. The angels vanished in a flash. Silence fell in the vault, broken only by Sam's breathing and Dean's angry muttering. Dean looked at Castiel. "So," Dean said, voice sharp, "you just went against heaven?" Castiel's face looked tired and stubborn. "Yes," he said. Dean blinked, surprised by the straight answer. Sam held the book tight and whispered, "This is getting bigger." Gandalf stared at the ash line Rowena left behind. His voice was low. "It already is," he said. And in that moment, as the vault light steadied again, the real danger became clear. The war was no longer only about closing a door. It was about who got to hold the key. They drove back with the book and a heavy silence. Dean's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Sam stared at the bag like it could jump out and bite him. Castiel sat with his head slightly bowed, like his own thoughts were attacking him. Gandalf watched the road, but his mind was elsewhere. He thought of Lucifer's voice. "Hope," the devil had said. Gandalf knew that trick. You didn't always break people with fear. Sometimes you broke them by letting them believe, then taking it away. Gandalf's hand tightened on the staff. He would not let that happen here. Not if he could help it. Not if his choice still mattered. And he could feel it now, like a slow pressure building in the world. The doors were learning how to open, and the people who loved cages were learning how to reach for him. 2 weeks passed, but the bunker never really felt quiet again. Sam got used to sleeping in short blocks. 2 hours. 3, if he was lucky. He woke up to the same things every time. The hum of lights, the smell of old books, and the soft tap of a staff somewhere down the hall. Gandalf walked the bunker like it was a border he had sworn to guard. He checked the wards the way Dean checked locks. He listened to the air like it could whisper warnings. Sam sat at the library table with notes spread out like a battlefield map. The black book from the vault stayed in a locked drawer under 3 layers of warding. Dean added a 4th layer every other day, just to feel better. Castiel came and went more than usual. When he did show up, his face looked tight, like someone had been pulling on a rope inside his chest. And the rifts didn't stop. They got smaller, but they showed up in more places. A thin line of heat in a motel bathroom mirror, a shimmer in the corner of a hospital basement, a cold patch in an alley that made every animal run away. Each time, they didn't fully open. Not like the plant, but each time felt like a finger testing a lock. Dean called it the world trying the door handle. Gandalf called it a wound that will not rest. Sam called it what it was in his private notes, a countdown. One afternoon, Sam found Gandalf in the kitchen, holding a flip phone like it was a small animal that might bite. Dean was at the table with a mug of coffee and a look on his face that said he was losing patience with the laws of reality. Gandalf opened the phone, stared at the buttons, then spoke into it. "Dean," he said. Dean stared. "Dude," he said slowly. The phone buzzed loudly. It startled Gandalf enough that he almost dropped it. Dean's eyes widened. "Oh my God, you called me." Sam looked down at his own phone. Dean's number was calling. Sam covered his mouth, trying not to laugh. Dean answered and held the phone to his ear. "Hello?" Gandalf spoke to the flip phone in his hand, calm and proud. "It works," he said. Dean glanced at Sam like he was begging for help. "Yeah," Dean said into his phone. "Great job." Gandalf nodded to himself, then looked up. "Dude," he said, like he was testing the word on purpose. Sam lost it. He laughed, real and loud, and for a second it felt like life before the rifts. Dean rolled his eyes, but the corner of his mouth twitched. Then Castiel appeared in the doorway, and the moment snapped back to sharp reality. "Heaven is moving," Castiel said. Dean's smile died. "How?" he demanded. Castiel's eyes were fixed on Gandalf, not accusing, just heavy. "They are gathering," he said. "Not 3, more." Sam's stomach tightened. "For him," Sam said. Castiel nodded once. "And for the book," he added. Dean slammed his mug down. "Of course," he muttered. "Because why stop at kidnapping the wizard when you can steal our stuff too?" Gandalf's face stayed calm. "They want order," he said. "They fear what they cannot name." Dean snapped. "They can get in line." Castiel's jaw tightened. "They will not," he said. Sam stood. Then we need to end this, he said, voice tight. We need to close the main wound, not just patch the small ones. Gandalf's eyes turned sharp. Yes, he agreed. And that means the route. Dean looked at the map wall where pins marked the biggest events. The plant, the storage yard, the church basement, the highway ash. A pattern was forming. Not perfect, but there was a center, a place the rifts kept leaning toward. Dean pointed. Here, he said. This cluster. Sam nodded. That's near an old rail spur, he said. And an abandoned chapel. Dean's voice went flat. Because of course it's a chapel. Gandalf's gaze stayed on the map. A place of faith, he said. And a place of iron roads. Strong symbols. Strong history. Castiel's eyes narrowed. Places like that can hold seals, he said. Or break them. Sam's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. Hello? A familiar British voice slid through the speaker like silk. Hello, Moose? Sam's blood went cold. Crowley, he said. Dean's head snapped toward him. Put him on speaker. Sam did. He didn't know why, but he did. Maybe because secrets were poison now. Crowley sounded cheerful, like he was calling to invite them to a dinner party. You're welcome, Crowley said. Dean barked. For what? For the warning you're about to receive, Crowley replied. Because unlike certain winged idiots, I understand timing. Sam's voice was careful. What do you want? Crowley sighed dramatically. I want everything, he said. But today, I want you alive. Temporarily. Dean's eyes narrowed. Spit it out. Crowley's tone sharpened. Your red-haired witch is making a move, he said. Tonight. Chapel near the rail yard. She's bringing her little ash sample and a whole lot of confidence. Sam's stomach dropped. She's going to the chapel, he said. More to himself than to Crowley. Crowley hummed. She thinks she can make a small cut, he said. A crack. A peek. Just enough to borrow a little power and call it science? Dean growled. She's going after the cage. Crowley's voice turned dry. Yes, he said. And if she succeeds, I won't be king anymore. I'll be a footnote under Lucifer's boot. Sam swallowed. So you want us to stop her? Crowley chuckled. Look at you. Learning, he said. Yes, stop her. Save the world. Very heroic. Dean leaned close to the speaker. And in return? He demanded. Crowley paused, like he enjoyed the question. In return, he said, I want the wizard. The bunker went still. Sam stared at the phone like it had grown teeth. Dean's face hardened. No, Dean said. Crowley sighed. Dean, don't be boring, he said. I'm offering protection, resources, a way to keep heaven off your backs. I can make deals. Gandalf stepped closer to the phone, gaze steady. I will not be traded, he said calmly. Crowley fell silent for half a beat. Then he sounded amused. Oh, Crowley said. You have a voice. I like that. Gandalf's tone stayed flat. And I do not like you, he replied. Dean almost smiled. Almost. Crowley continued, softer now. Fine, he said. If not the wizard, then the book. Dean's eyes went sharp. Also no. Crowley's voice went colder. Then you can enjoy fighting 3 wars at once, he said. Rowena, heaven, and the thing in the rift. Sam leaned forward. Crowley, Sam said, voice tight. If Rowena cracks the cage, you lose everything. So help us for real. Crowley scoffed. I am helping, he said. I told you where she'll be. Dean snapped. That's not help. That's you covering your own butt. Crowley laughed. Yes, he said. Welcome to hell. Then his voice lowered. Serious for once. She has more than ash, Crowley said. She has a symbol. From your vault. Something she shouldn't have. Sam's stomach turned. How? Crowley didn't answer directly. Because she's Rowena, he said. She always gets a finger through the door. Castiel's eyes narrowed. If she has the symbol, Castiel said, she can aim the wound. Crowley's voice turned sharp again. Exactly, he said. So go. Stop her. I'll even delay my people from interfering. Dean muttered. How kind. Crowley's tone became a warning. And one more thing, he said. Dean's face tightened. What? Crowley sounded almost nervous, which was never good. If she starts the ritual, he said, you may hear him. Sam's throat went dry. Lucifer. Crowley didn't deny it. Don't listen, he said. Don't bargain. Don't be stupid. Dean barked a short laugh. That's rich coming from you. Crowley sighed. Try not to die, he said, and the line went dead. Sam stared at the phone. Dean stared at the map. Castiel stared at nothing, like he was already feeling the pressure of heaven drawing closer. Gandalf's face was calm, but Sam saw something hard behind his eyes. A decision forming. We go tonight, Dean said, grabbing his jacket. Sam nodded. We go, he agreed. Castiel's voice was quiet. Heaven will follow, he said. Dean's jaw clenched. Let them, he snapped. Gandalf lifted his staff. The crack in the wood caught the light, thin and bright like a warning line. Then we must finish what began, Gandalf said, and for a second, Sam thought he heard the bunker itself breathe, like it knew they were stepping into the center of the storm. That evening, Dean fell asleep in a chair by accident. He didn't mean to. He meant to sharpen a blade and reload a pistol and stay angry until morning. Instead, his eyes closed for 1 second, and then he was standing in a bright kitchen. A clean kitchen. Sunlight through a window. A smell like pancakes. His heart jumped so hard it hurt. Mary Winchester stood at the stove, flipping something in a pan like it was normal, like she had never died, like the world had never broken. Dean couldn't speak. He couldn't breathe right. Mary turned and smiled. Morning, she said softly. Dean's throat tightened. Mom, he whispered. She stepped closer and touched his cheek. Warm. Real. Dean's knees almost gave out. Behind Mary, John sat at the table, laughing at something Sam said. Sam was there too. Younger. Safer. A normal family. Dean's eyes burned. Then a voice came from the corner, gentle and amused. You want it, don't you? Dean turned. A man leaned against the doorway like he owned the place. White suit. Calm smile. Eyes that held a whole storm behind them. Lucifer. Dean's whole body went cold. Get out, Dean snarled. Lucifer's smile widened. Oh, come on, he said. I didn't build this just to get kicked out. Dean raised his fist and charged. He hit nothing. His fist went through the air, and Lucifer was still standing there, unbothered. Lucifer sighed. Violence is your love language, he said. It's almost cute. Dean's teeth clenched. This isn't real, he growled. Lucifer shrugged. Does it feel real? He asked. Dean looked at Mary's face. John's laugh. Sam's smile. His chest hurt with wanting. Lucifer's voice softened. You're so tired, Dean, he said. You carry everyone. You bury everyone. You pretend you can live with it. Dean's hands shook. Shut up, he whispered. Lucifer stepped closer, slow and careful, like he wasn't pushing, like he was inviting. You don't have to lose them, Lucifer said. Not again. Dean's throat tightened. What do you want? He forced out. Lucifer smiled. A crack, he said. Just a little loosened chain. Dean's face twisted him with hate and fear. No. Lucifer tilted his head. Why not? He asked. You hate cages, don't you? You hate people who think they get to decide. Dean's chest rose and fell hard. He wanted to scream. He wanted to grab Mary and run. Lucifer leaned in, eyes bright. Your wizard friend, he said softly. He's noble. He's strong. But even he has a wound. Dean's stomach dropped. Leave him out of this. Lucifer's smile turned sharp. No, he said. He's the reason I can call it all. He's the line. And I'm going to pull it. Dean clenched his fists. Touch him, Dean hissed. And I swear. Lucifer laughed quietly. You swear what? He asked. That you'll suffer louder? Dean's eyes burned. Lucifer's voice dropped. Sweet as poison. You want hope, he said. I can give it. And you'll tell yourself it's for them, not you. Dean shook his head hard. No, he repeated, like he could break the dream by refusing. Lucifer sighed, almost disappointed. Fine, Lucifer said. Then you'll keep bleeding. He glanced past Dean toward Mary, John, and Sam. They'll keep dying, Lucifer said lightly, because you're too proud to take help. Dean lunged again, rage taking over, and he woke up with a gasp. The bunker lights were steady. The kitchen was stone and cold. No sun, No pancakes. Dean pressed a hand to his face. His skin was damp with sweat. Gandalf stood in the doorway of the library, watching him. Dean's throat tightened. You saw me sleeping and didn't do your old man magic, Dean muttered. Gandalf's voice was gentle. Dreams can be weapons here, he said. Dean's jaw clenched. Yeah, he whispered. I noticed. Gandalf stepped closer, calm and solid. Did he speak? He asked. Dean swallowed. He didn't want to answer, but he did. He offered hope, Dean said. Gandalf's eyes hardened. He offered a lie, shaped like hope, he corrected. Dean nodded, jaw tight. Yeah, he said. I said no. Gandalf watched him for a long second, then nodded once. Good, he said. Dean's voice came out rough. He said he's gonna pull you, Dean admitted. He said you're the line. Gandalf's gaze didn't flinch. Then I must become a stronger knot, he said simply. Dean stared at him. That is the most wizard sentence I've ever heard. Gandalf's mouth twitched. Then, perhaps you are learning my language, he said. Dean stood, grabbed his jacket, and forced his hands to stop shaking. Let's go stop the Red Witch, Dean said, voice hard. Gandalf nodded. Yes, he said, before she mistakes curiosity for control. The abandoned chapel sat at the edge of the rail yard like a broken tooth. Its roof sagged. Its stained glass was cracked. Old pews lay overturned inside, as if someone had searched for something under them long ago. The air around it felt wrong, not haunted in a simple way, more like thin, like the world's skin was stretched tight there. Dean's boots crunched on gravel as he led the way. Sam followed with a bag of supplies. Castiel appeared beside them with a faint flicker of light, face set in grim focus. Gandalf stepped last, staff in hand, hat low. Sam's EMF screamed the moment they crossed the chapel's threshold. Dean whispered, She's here. Rowena stood at the altar, calm as a queen. Candles burned in a wide circle, flame steady even in the draft. Ash lines marked symbols on the floor, black and sharp, and in the center of the circle, a thin shimmer in the air, a tear, already forming, like a mouth starting to open. Rowena smiled without turning. Right on time, she purred. I do love punctual men. Dean raised his gun. Step away from the circle, he ordered. Rowena turned slowly, hands lifted. Now, she said. Don't be boring. You're about to witness history. Sam's voice was tight. Rowena, you don't know what you're doing. Rowena laughed. Oh, sweetheart, she said. I know exactly what I'm doing. Gandalf's voice cut in, calm and firm. You are cutting a prison, he said. That is not wisdom. That is arrogance. Rowena's eyes slid to him, bright with hunger. And you, she said softly, are a walking miracle. Gandalf's gaze did not soften. Miracles are not toys, he said. Rowena sighed. Everyone says that, she replied. And yet everyone wants them. Castiel stepped forward, eyes hard. Stop, he ordered. Rowena's smile turned sharp. Angel, she said, go back to your leash. Castiel's jaw clenched. His grace flickered under his skin. Dean snapped. Rowena, shut it down. Rowena's eyes glittered. No, she said. She lifted her hands and spoke a spell. The ash lines lit up with dull red heat. The tear in the air widened. Slow at first, then faster. The chapel's candles bent toward it like the flame was being pulled. Sam shouted, Dean! Dean fired at the ash line, trying to break the circle. The bullet hit an invisible barrier and fell. Rowena smiled. Do try harder, she teased. Gandalf stepped forward, staff raised. He spoke a sharp word, and the air pressed down like a weight. Rowena staggered half a step, surprised. Her smile did not leave, but her eyes sharpened. There you are, she whispered. The tear opened wider. Heat rolled out. Not normal heat. Hungry heat. A low roar came from the other side, distant but coming closer. Dean's heart slammed. That thing, he muttered. It's coming back. Sam's voice shook. Rowena, you can't control it. Rowena's face flashed with real anger. I'm not trying to control it, she snapped. I'm trying to use it. Gandalf's eyes burned bright. That is worse, he said. Then the air split with a flash. Angels appeared in the chapel like knives dropping from the sky. Not 3 this time, 7. They spread out fast, blocking exits. Their faces were cold. Their eyes were fixed on Gandalf. The lead angel spoke, voice flat and final. "Intruder," it said. "You will come with us." Dean stepped in front of Gandalf without thinking. "No!" Dean snapped. The angel didn't look at Dean. "Move!" it ordered. Dean lifted his gun. "Make me!" Castiel's jaw tightened. He stepped beside Dean, shoulders squared. "No," Castiel said, voice hard. The lead angel's eyes narrowed. "Castiel," it said, "you are out of line." Castiel's voice didn't shake. "Then heaven is wrong," he said. For a second, even Dean blinked at that. Rowena looked delighted. "Oh, this is getting good," she whispered. The tear in the air pulsed, wider now. The roar grew louder. Sam looked between angels, Rowena and the wound forming. His brain screamed one clear truth. If they fought each other, the door would fully open. Sam shouted, "Everyone shut up!" No one listened. The angels moved first. 2 lunged for Gandalf. Gandalf lifted his staff and the air hardened. The angels hit an invisible wall and bounced back with a harsh jolt, shocked again that something could stop them. Dean fired devil's trap bullets at an angel's feet, trying to pin it. The angel snarled and flickered free with a burst of grace. Castiel slammed into an angel midair, grace flaring like a silent explosion. They crashed into a row of pews and shattered wood. Rowena kept chanting, hands raised, feeding the circle like she was turning a crank. Sam sprinted to the edge of the ash symbols, searching for a weak point. He saw a small mark, slightly smeared. A mistake. A human mistake. He pulled a flask of holy water and hurled it at that spot. The holy water hit the ash line and hissed. The symbol flickered. Rowena's chant stuttered. Rowena's head snapped toward Sam. Her eyes went furious. "You little—" She flicked her hand. Invisible force slammed Sam into a pillar. Sam hit hard and slid down, stunned. Breath knocked out. Dean shouted, "Sam!" Dean turned to Rowena, rage flaring, and that second of distraction almost killed him. An angel grabbed Dean by the throat and lifted him off the ground like he weighed nothing. Dean kicked, choking, eyes wide. Gandalf's voice cut through, hard as steel. "Release him!" The angel snarled. "He is irrelevant." Gandalf's eyes flashed. "No," he said, and for the first time his voice sounded like a command the world remembered. Light surged from his staff, clean and bright. The angel flew backward and slammed into the chapel wall, leaving cracks in stone. Dean fell, coughing, landing on his knees. He looked up at Gandalf with a mix of fear and awe he didn't want to admit. Gandalf did not look at Dean. He looked at the tear, because the tear was now wide enough to show darkness moving behind it. A shape, huge, fire and shadow and hate. The creature's eyes burned like coals behind smoke, and it was smiling. Rowena's breath hitched in excitement. "Yes," she whispered. "Come on." Gandalf's face went cold. "Fool," he said, voice low. The creature stepped through. The chapel shook like it was hit by a truck. Candles blew out. Dust rained from the ceiling. Heat slammed into everyone's faces. The angels recoiled, even them. Rowena's smile faltered for the first time. "That's bigger than last time," she whispered. The fire shadow turned its head slowly. It looked at Rowena. Then it looked at Castiel. Then it locked eyes with Gandalf. Its roar filled the chapel like a wave. The remaining stained glass shattered outward, spraying colored shards across the gravel outside. Sam pushed himself up, dizzy, eyes watering from heat. He saw Dean stagger to his feet. He saw Castiel struggling against 2 angels at once. And he saw the truth. Rowena didn't start a controlled crack. She started a doorway, and Lucifer was close enough to hear it open. A voice slid into the chapel, soft and delighted, like someone entering a party. "Well," Lucifer murmured, "this is fun." Dean's whole body went rigid. "No," he rasped. Rowena's eyes widened. "Oh," she whispered, half thrilled, half terrified. "Hello." Castiel's face twisted with pain and anger. "Stop," he warned, voice shaking. Lucifer laughed lightly. "I'm not even there," he said, "and you still flinch." Gandalf stepped forward toward the fire shadow, staff in one hand, sword in the other. His face was calm in a way that made Sam's chest tighten. Calm like someone who had chosen the hard road and accepted the cost. "You," Gandalf said to the fire shadow, voice sharp. "You followed." The fire shadow roared and swung a burning arm. Gandalf moved. He didn't dodge like a scared man. He shifted like a fighter who knew timing. The arm smashed through the altar. Stone exploded. Heat rolled. Gandalf slammed his staff down and a wall of light rose between the fire shadow and Dean, Sam, and Castiel. The wall held long enough for Dean to drag Sam backward. "Move!" Dean coughed, pulling Sam by the jacket. Sam stumbled, clutching his ribs. "I'm good," Sam lied. Dean didn't believe him. "Shut up and walk," Dean snapped. The angels tried to move around the light wall to reach Gandalf again. Castiel saw it and made a choice. He flared his grace, wide and hard, like spreading invisible wings across the chapel. The angels staggered, shocked by the force. Castiel's eyes burned. "Leave!" he ordered, voice cracked with anger. "Now!" The lead angel snarled. "You defy heaven!" Castiel's jaw clenched. "Then heaven should look in a mirror," he said. He slammed the lead angel back with a burst of grace. For a second, heaven's soldiers hesitated, not because they were weak, because something else was here that didn't follow their rules. Gandalf looked over his shoulder. "Quick, Castiel," he said. "Hold them." Castiel nodded once. Grim. Dean shouted, "What about Rowena?" Rowena was already backing away, fear finally winning over pride. Her eyes darted to the ash circle like she wanted to fix it, but her hands shook. She whispered, "I didn't mean—" Dean barked, "Shut it!" The fire shadow slammed into Gandalf's light wall again and again. Each hit made the wall flicker. Gandalf's staff crack brightened. Sam watched, breath tight. The staff wasn't failing because Gandalf was weak. It was failing because he was forcing this world to obey a rule it didn't know. Gandalf lifted his sword, eyes hard. "Your name," he said, voice low. "Speak your true name." Lucifer laughed, delighted. "Oh, I love this part," he murmured. The fire shadow roared. Gandalf's gaze sharpened. "Then I will name you," he said. He spoke a name in an old tongue, a name that sounded like fire and stone and ruin. Sam didn't understand the words, but he felt the effect. The fire shadow flinched. Not from pain, from recognition. It snapped its head toward Gandalf like it had been grabbed by the collar. Gandalf stepped forward, voice rising, no longer gentle. "You are not master here," he said. "You are a servant of darkness, and you will return to the pit you crawled from." The fire shadow roared again, but the sound shook, like it was fighting a leash. Rowena stared, mouth open. That's a true name," she breathed. Dean snapped, "Less talking!" Sam's brain fired through options. The ash circle was still lit. The tear was still open. If they broke the circle, the tear might collapse, or it might explode. Sam looked at the black book bag on his shoulder. The vault book's diagrams flashed in his mind. Anchor the tear. Tie it to an existing binding. A terrible idea. But it might work if done right. Sam shouted, "Gandalf!" Gandalf didn't turn. "Speak," he said. Sam's voice shook. "The book," he said. "It says you can tie a tear to a binding. Like the cage." Dean's face twisted. "No!" Dean snapped. "We are not messing with the cage." Sam shouted, "Dean, we're already messing with it. She started it." Lucifer's voice purred. "He's right, Dean. You're already in it." Dean's teeth clenched. "Shut up!" Sam forced himself to focus. "If we tie the tear to the cage," Sam said, fast, "and then seal it with your light, it might lock the wound back into the prison structure instead of letting it float around." Castiel's voice cut in, strained as he held back two angels. "That is dangerous," he warned. Gandalf's voice stayed steady. "Danger is already here," he replied. Dean's eyes were wild. "And what's the cost?" Dean demanded. Gandalf's staff crack flared again, bright and sharp. Gandalf's voice went quiet. "The cost," he said, "may be that I cannot follow the door home." Sam froze. Dean stared. "What?" Gandalf looked back for the first time. His eyes were tired but clear. "If I bind this wound to this world's prison," he said, "I may bind myself to this world as well." Sam's chest tightened. "You'd be stuck," Sam whispered. Gandalf's face didn't change. "Yes," he said. Dean shook his head hard. No, Dean snapped. We'll find another way. Gandalf's voice was calm, almost kind. Dean, he said, you live as if you can always pay later. Later is not promised. Dean's throat tightened. His eyes flashed with anger, and something worse, fear of losing another person. Lucifer chuckled softly. Oh, look at that, he murmured. Hope hurts, doesn't it? Gandalf turned away from the voice like it was dirt. He looked at the tear, then at the fire shadow straining against his named command. Then he made the choice. We do it, Gandalf said. Dean's jaw clenched. Gandalf! Gandalf raised a hand, stopping him without force. You will not stop me, he said gently. Not with anger, not with guilt. Dean's eyes burned. Sam swallowed hard. Okay, Sam said. Tell me what to do. Gandalf's voice snapped into command mode, clear and simple. Break the ash circle, he said. In 3 places, evenly. Not 1. 3. Sam nodded fast, grabbing a knife from his kit. Castiel, Gandalf called. Hold the angels away from the circle. Castiel gritted his teeth. I'm trying, he snapped. Gandalf's gaze sharpened. Try harder, he said. Not cruel, just urgent. Castiel flared his grace again, slamming the angels back. One angel hit a wall and cracked stone. Rowena stared, trembling now. This is madness, she whispered. Dean pointed at her with his gun. You're gonna sit down and shut up, he growled, or I swear. Rowena swallowed and stepped back, hands raised. Sam crouched at the ash line, heat licking his face. He sliced through the first section. The ash line snapped, sparks flying. The tear shuddered. Sam's heart jumped. 1! He shouted. He ran to the second section, sliced again. The tear pulsed, wider for half a second, then tighter. 2! He sprinted to the third and cut. The ash circle broke. The candles flared out all at once. The tear screamed. The fire shadow roared and lunged, trying to escape before the door closed. Gandalf stepped in its path, staff raised high, sword angled low. His voice boomed, filling the chapel with pure command. Back! Light poured from him. Not soft, not pretty, but clean and unstoppable. It felt like dawn turning night into something it couldn't hide in. Sam stared, breath caught. Dean stared too, eyes wide, because this was beyond wizard. This was a force that chose kindness, but could still break armies. The fire shadow hit the light and stalled, struggling like a beast caught in a net. Gandalf spoke the true name again, harder this time. The fire shadow jerked backward, dragged toward the tear like the name was a chain. Lucifer's voice sharpened, no longer playful. Stop, he hissed. Gandalf ignored him. Castiel shouted, voice raw, now! Sam grabbed a handful of salt and hurled it across the space where the tear was shrinking, like throwing sand into a machine. Dean poured holy water in a wide arc, splashing it across the air. The tear flickered, screamed, and folded inward like a burning paper closing on itself. The fire shadow tried one last push. Gandalf planted his staff and leaned forward, putting his whole will into the seal. The crack in the staff flared white-hot. For a terrifying second, Sam thought it would snap. Instead, the staff held. The tear collapsed. The fire shadow vanished with it. Silence slammed down. The chapel's heat drained fast, leaving cold and smoke and shaking people. The angels froze, uncertain. They had lost the opening. Their target was still here, but now he was standing in the center of a sealed place like a guardian. Gandalf lowered his staff slowly. The crack in it did not heal, but it stopped glowing. Dean took one step toward Gandalf, voice rough. You okay? Gandalf looked at him, tired eyes calm. I am here, he said. That is enough. Lucifer's voice came faint now, distant again, like someone shoved behind a door. You chose the hard way, Lucifer said, voice bitter and amused at once. How heroic. Gandalf's voice was quiet. I chose the right way, he replied. Lucifer's laugh faded, thin and angry. We'll see, he whispered. Then the presence slipped away, like a shadow losing its grip. The late angel stared at Castiel, rage in its eyes. You will answer for this, it said. Castiel's face was pale but firm. Then I will, he said. The angel looked at Gandalf one last time. "This is not over," it warned. Gandalf met its gaze without flinching. "It never is," he said. The angels vanished in a flash, leaving behind a chapel full of broken stone and heavy breathing. Rowena stood very still, eyes wide, as if she had just realized she had almost ended the world by accident. Dean pointed his gun at her. "Get out," he growled. "Before I forget, I'm trying to be a decent person." Rowena swallowed, pride wounded, fear real. "You don't understand what you have," she whispered, looking at Gandalf like he was a treasure. Gandalf's voice was flat. "I'm not a thing," he said. Rowena's eyes flicked away. For once, she had no clever line. She turned, moved fast, and disappeared into the night like smoke. Sam slumped against a pillar, breathing hard. "She got away," he whispered. Dean stared at the broken altar and the scorch marks. "Yeah," he said, "but the door didn't." Castiel stepped closer, shoulders heavy. "The wound is quieter," he said. "For now." Gandalf looked at the space where the tear had been, then down, at his staff. He closed his eyes for a brief moment. When he opened them, his gaze was steady, but something had changed. He wasn't just visiting anymore. He had anchored himself to this world. Dean saw it and felt something twist inside him. A mix of relief and guilt and respect he didn't have a clean name for. Dean cleared his throat, voice rough. "So, you're stuck here," he said. Gandalf's mouth twitched, small and honest. "It seems I will walk these roads for a while," he said. Sam swallowed. "I'm sorry," Sam said. Gandalf looked at him kindly. "Do not be," he said. "A choice is only heavy if you pretend you did not choose it." Dean stared at him. "Why?" Dean asked, voice low. "Why do that for us?" Gandalf's eyes softened. "Because you fight," he said, "even when you expect to lose. Even when hope hurts you." Dean looked away, jaw clenched, because that hit too close. Castiel watched Gandalf with something like quiet awe. "You gave up your return," Castiel said, almost to himself. "For strangers." Gandalf's voice was simple. "Strangers become allies," he said. "Allies become friends." Dean snorted softly. "Easy there," he muttered. Gandalf glanced at him. "Dude," he said. Sam let out a tired laugh. Dean shook his head, but his mouth twitched again. And in the broken chapel, under the cracked roof, for one brief second, it felt like they had won something real. Not a perfect ending, but a future. The next morning, the road looked normal again. Clouds, pale winter sun, cars passing like nothing had happened. Dean drove the Impala with one hand on the wheel, the other resting near the gear shift. Sam sat in the passenger seat, bandage under his shirt where Rowena had slammed him. He pretended it didn't hurt. Dean pretended he believed him. Gandalf sat in the back seat, hat off now, hair loose around his shoulders, staff resting between his boots like a quiet promise. Castiel stood outside the car by the roadside, watching the horizon as if he expected heaven to drop out of it at any moment. They had pulled over near a small diner that had a breakfast all day sign and a parking lot full of trucks. Dean said they were stopping for fuel. Sam knew it wasn't just gas. It was recovery. It was pretending they were normal humans for 10 minutes. Dean stepped out, breathed cold air, then glanced back at Gandalf. "You hungry?" Dean asked, like it was casual. Gandalf blinked. "Food," he said slowly, as if remembering a normal need. "Yes," he admitted. "I am." Dean nodded, satisfied for some reason. "Good," he said, "because if you're going to be stuck here, you're going to learn the sacred ways of bacon." Sam rolled his eyes. "Dean," he sighed. Dean pointed at him. "Don't ruin this," he warned. Gandalf looked at the diner, then at the road beyond it. "Your world has strange temples," he said. Calm. Dean smirked. "You have no idea," he said. Castiel's eyes flicked toward the sky again. "They will not stop," he said quietly. "Heaven." Dean's expression hardened for a second. "Yeah," he said. "Neither will we." Sam stepped closer to Castiel. "What happens to you now?" Sam asked softly. Castiel's jaw tightened. "I will be punished," he said. Dean looked at him. "For doing the right thing," Dean muttered. Castiel's eyes were tired. "Heaven does not define right the way you do," he said. Gandalf stepped up beside them, staff tapping the pavement once. "Then heaven must learn," he said simply. Castiel stared at him, surprised. Dean snorted. "Good luck teaching heaven anything," Dean said. Gandalf's gaze stayed calm. "I have taught stubborn beings before," he replied. Dean looked at him, then shook his head like he didn't know what to do with that kind of steady courage. Sam watched them and felt something settle inside him. The world was still dangerous. Rowena was still loose. Crowley was still scheming. Lucifer was still whispering from behind a locked door. But the worst crack had closed. For now. Gandalf sat back into the Impala, while Dean went inside to grab food. Sam followed, because Dean never actually bought to go without making it a whole thing. Castiel stayed outside, a quiet guard against an unseen sky. Gandalf opened the flip phone, stared at it, then closed it again. He looked out across the road, eyes soft with thought. This world was harsh. It ran on bargains and grief and stubborn love, but it had something he recognized. People who kept walking even when the path was dark. Dean came back with a bag of food and 2 coffees. He tossed 1 coffee to Sam and set the bag on the hood. He handed Gandalf a wrapped sandwich, like it was a peace offering. Gandalf took it carefully. "Thank you," he said. Dean nodded once, awkward. "Yeah," he muttered. Sam leaned against the car and watched the highway. Cars moved. Life continued. He thought about Lucifer's promise of hope. He thought about Gandalf giving up his way home. He thought about how the world didn't stop, even after a door almost opened. Gandalf took a bite of the sandwich, chewed slowly, then looked at Dean. "This is good," he said. Honest. Dean smiled, proud like he had invented food. "Damn right," he said. Gandalf looked past Dean to the road again. His voice went quiet, but clear. "In the dark," he said. "A small light is not small." Dean didn't joke this time. He just nodded once, like he understood more than he wanted to admit. And on the edge of the highway, under a pale sun, the Impala sat like a moving home. The world kept turning, but now it turned with a new watcher on the road. Not a king, not a ruler, a traveler with a staff, a cracked seal behind him, and a choice still burning bright in his chest.